health experts call toxic masculinity.
Research found the underlying cause for could be masculinity context culture.
Toxic masculinity, we've sort of heard this phrase popping up. The phrase has gained a lot of attention recently, especially with the Me Too movement.
It's showtime.
I'm no godless Tommy. I fought the Star Spangled Banner.
You bring the cavalry?
Woman, I am the cavalry.
They are my people. I am their sovereign. I love them.
Welcome to the party, pal.
I need better assistance now.
Knock. Stick around.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Masculine Mondays, episode number 28, where we're talking about Hacksaw Ridge in preparation for tomorrow, which is Veterans Day. I just want to give a quick thank you to all of our veterans out there. Thank you for serving this wonderful country that we live in, and that we're able to do things like this, stream online to people that watch these awesome type of shows, which I do appreciate everyone being here for tonight. And just to kind of give a little bit of a heads up in terms to the formatting has changed slightly, so I do hope that people enjoy it. If you are a returning viewer, of course, let me know in the comments. If you're new here to the channel, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, your family, all that kind of fun stuff. And if you're new to Masculine Mondays, what we do is we cover why masculinity is important in cinema, because it is severely lacking, to which I'm sure a lot of you already know, in cinema in the past 5-10 years, perhaps, maybe a little bit longer, depending on the genre, of course, in our beloved cinemas. But we talk about all these movies on a weekly basis, a new movie every week, to look at the movies that came before and talk about the importance. We talk about the masculine traits. We talk about the characters' influence in the movie. We talk about now 5 scenes in particular, but we'll also talk about some themes and some reflections, and we'll kind of just talk about some things on the way. So I can't do this alone. Obviously, all the viewers out there, I do appreciate, and I'm going to bring in a wonderful panel. We've got Mr. Emperor Goodwin, we've got Isaac 556, and we've got Shield Wall of Dragons. Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight?
I mean, it's not just masculinity missing in cinema. Apparently, it's missing in the audience as well, given some of the cope I've seen about Predator Badlands. My God.
Yes.
Yeah, that is another hilarious topic. I've had the pleasure of sort of just chatting with just a little bit, but I'm glad to have watched this movie just because there's actually, it's based on a true story. And there's a hell of a lot more Badland combat in this movie on Hacksaw Ridge, where people who are actually masculine, not like the Yautja in Predator Badlands.
Yeah, I don't know what were the Japanese thinking, picking a fight with Spider-Man. I mean, you know how this is going to go. What are we doing?
Very true.
Yeah. He was web slinging them wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And one more. But Goodwin, you said this is the first time you watched this movie, right?
Yeah.
Interested to see what you think.
I mean, I was aware of Doss's story.
Okay, I figured you might have been.
That was also one of the reasons I kind of backed off of seeing this movie, because I was like, oh boy, how are they going to screw this up? They do take some liberties, but yeah, it's generally pretty good.
Yeah. Shieldwall and Isaac, have you watched this movie before?
Yes, I have. I saw it when it came out, the year it came out. And I have a funny story with that. I was 16 when it came out. And what do 16-year-old males tend to think? Well, they think violence is awesome. They think fighting is awesome. And so I hated well, not hated, but I hated the whole pacifism thing. I thought, this is so stupid. I came out of it like, who doesn't fight in a war, acting like a tough guy. Now looking back 9 years later, I'm like, I like him very much. Desmond Doss is a hero of our country. So
Yeah. It is definitely interesting because I kind of had that similar perspective, to be quite frank, and obviously a bit older, but even then it was just something that I didn't really think about or sort of give any liberties to, but at the same time, to like this weekend when I watched it and I was, thinking about it and going, do I still feel the same? Because you see other medics that do what do what he does in this movie, and they all pick up a rifle. They all, take Japanese lives. I mean, one of them goes out screaming, in the face of his enemy like a badass, and it kind of just gives you a different perspective. Like you can do the same thing that Desmond Doss does, but still, sort of adhere to the rifle and the life that the army sort of wants you to live. But we'll get into all that. So, Sheila, have you seen this movie before?
Yeah.
Probably,
I saw
right?
it when it came out in the theater, and then I saw it again prior to the stream here, and then I watched it a couple months ago as well.
Nice.
It could have been as far as like last year, I think. But having actually lived on Okinawa as a teenager and then being stationed there, you could go. Some of these places are gone now. They've been built over by housing tracts and apartment complexes and whatever. But when I was younger, you could go to a lot of these battlefields. They were still right there. And there's a famous picture, well, semi-famous, of some soldiers behind what's called a shishi dog. It looks like a kind of like a lion statue. It's got bullet holes in it, and you can still go see that statue with the bullet holes and everything in it.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. A lot of the ground on that island, the military treats as sacred ground because of so many people that died there in the battle and everything. So it's interesting. Like you can still go and see these battlefields. I mean, a lot of them are built over now, but some of them portions of them are still there. So it's kind of interesting. I didn't really know about Desmond's story though, specifically like all the details, but I knew that there was a battle and everything like that. So the things that he did is pretty amazing. And he didn't have to carry a gun to do it.
So this is two Congressional Medal of Honor winners that I can recall that at least started out as conscientious objectors. He ended up sticking with it. Sergeant York did not, much to the chagrin of the Germans during World War I, because York rocked up a hell of a body count.
Yeah. Before we get into it, I just want to say what's up to everyone in the chat. We got Piranha. How are you, Pouty? I missed you, but good to see you, dear. Been away. It's all good. It's all good. Totally understandable. Sometimes we just need a break. Recollect ourselves from the online world and whatnot. But yes, be sure to like and subscribe. Appreciate that.
I'm trying to collect the whole
social media can take its toll, indeed. That's for sure. Yes.
Yeah, it's one thing if you're on here a lot and you kind of take a couple of days, the weekend, something like that. Joe, I don't just like go touch grass because it's more than that, right? Go spend time with family, friends, go have a drink, go, whatever, smoke, go play some games, play some sports. I don't know, get in trouble, do something masculine, right? But
go to the range, have a nice range day with family,
Yeah, plenty of things like that. Go on a hike, go to the gym, do things that promotes manliness. Speaking of young men, Waylon, how you doing, man? What are we sipping tonight? kind of beverage. Rio, how you doing, sir? I am doing well. I'm doing well. I had a good, relaxing weekend. Semi-busy, but I had to spend some time on the stream, of course, making sure that is a little bit more prepared. So again, I hope the new sort of formatting goes well, but we'll see. So
it went so well last time.
Well, yeah. I did remember to click go live this time because for those of you that weren't here last week for the start of Predator, good one. How long did I go for? A good 5-10 minutes.
Oh yeah, 5 minutes anyway, and then
basically imagine the starting dialogue I did today on this stream completely offline.
But also describing the new format that you were going to do and all that. Oh, it was very, very exciting. Sadly, the panel saw that.
It was a great rough draft,
Practice run. It was good dress rehearsal, and then
good dress rehearsal. Exactly.
Just be grateful you didn't go to record a video and go live on all your channels at the same time, and then keep repeating yourself.
Yeah, hitting yourself like, damn it, that was not good. Coughing a bit.
Exactly.
Gosh, yeah. Doing all the blah blah blah. Shaking. Yeah.
Maybe dropping a few words that aren't YouTube safe.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, Wayfair, what's going on, man? Yep. Good to see you here, man. Man of distinction, latest of substance, Pouty Gal, Jake Martin. How are you doing, my man?
Big Daddy Jake.
Yeah, Big Daddy Jake. Hope you and the missus and the little one that's on the way is doing well. So, and Gemma Lama Layton, what's up, dude? How's the gym life? How's the health going? Ronan, hail from the golden age. Thank you for being here, my friend. Good to see you as always.
We just had Ronan on my stream before this. He's a great guy.
He is. Ronan is a good dude. Go follow Ronan the Crusader. Definitely worth a follow. 199 dono from our friend of the channel, Blue Collar Loser, streamed this on my son's 18th birthday. Love this movie. I was going to ask you, Blue, if you'd shown this movie to your kid yet, but now I know the answer. So that is awesome. I hope he liked it. Be kind of curious to see what he had to say. So, Peepers, what's up? Good to see you here, my friend. Maverick, what's going on? Good to see you as always. What true masculinity looks like in G.I. Jane. Now that would be a interesting topic. Oh gosh.
Boy, that was a psyop movie if you ever saw one.
Yeah, man.
That was the one with Jada Pinkett Smith, right?
No, that was the sequel that they had.
Oh, that was the sequel.
Yeah,
yes,
there was a sequel to that. Oh my god,
that was the whole point of the slap. Was that Chris Rock said, "Oh, I see that Jada is going to be doing a sequel to G.I. Jane."
Right?
Yeah,
Demi Moore. Yeah, she actually for real shaved her head.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I
props
remember
for that, but come on.
I respect the commitment. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But
not for that movie.
The whole proposition is just silly.
Yeah.
Our boy Vigo degraded himself with that. Yes.
Yeah.
Courage Under Fire.
That had Meg Ryan in it.
Which one is that? Is that when they capture her? No, not. Which one is that? Is it when her kids held for ransom? I think in a different movie.
No. It's she was a helicopter pilot.
That's right.
And they're seeing if she can get the Medal of Honor.
That's right.
What she did. That is less far-fetched than the Demi Moore becoming a SEAL. Quite a bit.
Jack on the Rocks. Hell yeah. Trying to watch Leon too much to safeguard my manliness. We were going to have Leon's never seen this movie, and he and Vex were going to be on the episode tonight. So we lost 2 women for tonight, but we have 4 men. So kind of just happens that way, right? Predator 2 is the most underrated movie in history, at least for that franchise. That is for damn sure. So After watching Badlands, Predator 2 is like a masterpiece.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, Badlands, is the biggest opening of any Predator movie, and it's I'm reliably informed by Twitter that it's the best of the Predator movies.
Right, highest rated on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe they said. Yeah, it's a wonderful critic note there. Draconos, what's going on, man? Good to see you here. Myself, one of my best friends in Draconos, we were trio squatting some hell divers, killing some bots and squids on Sunday on max difficulty and completely destroying them. It was a hell of a good time. I never get tired of that game. But the Leon Zing, about to shower and do Uber. Got Nick on my stream as I'm naked. Pure masculinity. Hey, man.
You keep that camera off, Blue. Just keep it off. That's all.
I am gonna be here until he gets out of that.
One of the Predator, one of the Predator movies of all time.
Was it? I'm not even sure.
Oh gosh, Predator in name only, but also bad in name only. And
did I hear right that people like articles and stuff were saying that it was queer coded or something?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, if you just look at the Predator in it, I can definitely see it.
No, if you look at the story, you can really see it.
Oh well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, his real accomplishment is he kills his father because his father wouldn't accept him for who he is.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's okay. So it's transcoded then.
Yeah, exactly.
No, is anybody going to go see The Running Man? Any interest in that?
I'm gonna wait because I don't trust that movie.
Yeah, I still need to. I haven't watched Frankenstein yet, so I'm behind on that.
I hear that's good, and I hear other people say that it was not that good.
I would be on the not that good side.
I've heard more good than bad, but
Frankenstein is very pretty.
I think I will. I'm gonna wait to watch it till I read the book because the book is on my list. I want to read
it.
Is
it like a Hellboy 2 situation?
It's so the way I would look at it is because Guillermo del Toro keeps lying to us and saying he loves the book. Unfortunately, if you've read it, you'd be ahead of him. I'm pretty sure. I think he loves the movies, and it's kind of a pseudo love letter to James Whale's Frankenstein, and then maybe a bit of Hellboy thrown in.
Well, because the reason I bring it up is because Hellboy 1 was amazing and Hellboy 2 was like weird and different, and I was just like, okay,
yeah. So it's basically if you look at like the philosophy and the themes of the book, Guillermo del Toro doesn't understand them and actually subverts them pretty hard, and he changes the time that it's set. So he sets it in the 1850s, which really already causes some serious problems with what the themes were that Mary Shelley was pursuing. But then it's also it has a lot of religious connotations. Another thing that's very much broken from that. The monster, the creature is supposed to be so hideous that no human would ever want to go near it. It's why it would never have companionship with humanity.
Man, tell me.
Meanwhile, we got a girl that's a girl actually does fall in love with it and wants to die with it, and
interesting.
So it's the bull milking thing all over again.
Yeah, a bit of that. Yeah.
Thanks for putting that image in my head.
Well, the centaur milking, actually,
or whatever. Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to derail the stream by asking.
Nah, it's all right. we got that those much needed questions out of the way, of course. So, because obviously some of these movies aren't maybe as good as what we're talking about here, of course, but to each their own. Rick Costa says, "I am late in Gee. What's up, my dudes? Good to see you, Rick, as always. You're just on time, man. You're right on time because we're literally just about to add to the stage here. So talking about Hacksaw Ridge, starring Andrew Garfield, a Mel Gibson film with some other notable actors such as Vince Vaughn and Hugo Weaving, aka Lord Elrond.
Well, Ron's seen some shit.
He has seen some shit. And one of the things that, you know, I kind of wanted to use as a legend, and if you're familiar with any sort of like D&D, you know, gaming sheets, you know, there are traits that we talk about here and have talked about here on a weekly basis. These are just, you know, quite a few, more than several, but just to kind of look back to, and we always kind of want to look at, and how I look at all the scenes that, you know, I've used as a guideline, and much like I talked about in the Masculinity in Cinema video as a prelude to all these streams here. So, and of course, another thing that leads up to all these streams is the three most important things: affirmation, inspiration, and aspiration. And, you know, I kind of was using a bit of a code of, you know, green means good, red means didn't quite really achieve that, but yellow means maybe not in terms of the characters and the scenes. Do they evoke, you know, full aspiration, or do some characters in some scenes kind of only hit that affirmation mark, really, you know? So it's just something to bear in mind as we kind of go along here and we you know, dive into our characters. You know, we've got Desmond Doss, you know, our main protagonist here, who I've called the conviction-driven protector. He obviously is a man of God, a man of faith, and he tries to protect people. And you see, you know, his upbringing, how he has a fight with his brother, you know, who he almost kills, and that one commandment, you know, hits him hard as he you know, has some reflection at such a young age. We see more about his father and how his father treats his wife. You know, because of as Goodwin said, his father's seen some shit. So you kind of make sense as to why he acts the way he does. Doesn't mean it's okay. But it also kind of alludes to why he doesn't like guns, and you know, holds his father at gunpoint, and his father begs him to, you know, to pull the trigger, but he can't.
But
you know,
he did in his mind.
Right, he kills him in his mind.
Yep.
And I wrote that quote down.
Sin.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that hit me, because I forgot that line, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's like spot on, right? So, I mean, and it's really interesting too about kind of talk more about his character. You know, again, is he calm, humble, and unbreakable 100% of the time? No, because he's not perfect, right? But you know, and he tries to find that strength from his moral courage. You know, he does try to be this protector in being the medic, you know, and healing in a sense, but protecting them from the harm that has already been done to him. Because, you know, I forget which character it was that loses, you know, most of their both legs. And the other guy is like, he's done for. And he's like, he goes, you don't know that, you know, and sure enough, you see later on, oh, dude's there, you know?
Exactly.
So, I mean, you know, he's going to have, you know, no legs for the rest of his life, but, you know, he's still alive and, you know, can tell that story. And it's also interesting too, to his character, and we'll talk about it in another scene that I have in mind. But when Dorothy visits him in the holding cell before he awaits his court-martial trial, you know, she hits him with a stunner and says, "You're being prideful." And he's just like, "Oh my God, Dorothy, I am being prideful, aren't I?" And it's like, you know, pride comes before the fall. Like, you know, what is he about to fall on here? So, again, I think it just goes to show that he is, and he does humble himself, you know, and he obviously isn't perfect, which again, like, I don't want to see a flawless character in this, like, oh, he's just too good, you know, like, you know, he's not going to, you know, uphold the rifle, but, you know, like, he does have problems. He does have moments of weakness, which I think, you know, you need that in a main character, despite him, you know, attempting to be so, you know, wanting to be so perfect, because he's not. And any, you guys have any thoughts about Desmond? I mean, now we're going to talk a lot about him, but any initial thoughts?
Yeah, I have something that that was kind of taught when I was in the military, you go to like leadership schools and stuff.
Mhm.
One of the things they talked about with people that turn out to be great leaders or have significant changes in direction in their life is something that they coined as a significant emotional event. So you'll be kind of cruising along in life and either something bad will happen, a bad accident, somebody will die. In Desmond's case, he almost killed his brother, right? And
Yep.
it changed him fundamentally for the rest of his life and his outlook on life. And then he has the incident with his father and the gun, another significant emotional event. And these are things that rewire your brain. You never forget them. That's also why you can have a significant emotional event in combat and you wind up with like PTSD and stuff. But most of the time when you hear about it, it's a change that drove somebody's behavior that then they go on to be like a great leader or become president of the United States or whatever. I think there always has to be a little something there to start with, but it's that significant emotional event that kind of breaks it open and allows the person to move forward and reach their full potential. And for some people, maybe that never happens to them, and therefore they don't go through that, and it doesn't affect them, and their life takes a different path to where it could have been. But I think that's a big aspect of his life was those two breakpoints, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's the hero's journey, right? That you have to encounter adversity, and the point is not necessarily the end that you're trying to get to. It's the adversity itself and how it affects and changes you, how you grow from it. That's the journey. Did you get to the end? That's great or whatever, but just skipping the adversity and getting to the end, which sadly we see in a lot of movies nowadays, that's not the hero's journey. That's skipping the entire purpose of it.
Right. And I think that's why people, when we see movies like the sequels for Star Wars with Rey and I'm just perfect, and it's just like, well, that's not how real life works. You know what I mean? And you can tell, so it takes you out of it, and then the story sucks because of that.
Right. It's why Mary Sue's are so crap, is because they're characters that haven't earned any of the capabilities they have, or again, it's like, if you can be naturally gifted athletically, but if you don't actually put in the work, you're never truly going to be great. And part of putting in that work is recognizing limitations, working around them, overcoming them, developing the mental toughness, because again, just being athletically gifted doesn't mean that you have the mindset to win. You only get that through adversity, and that's the point. And that's what, one of the big things that we are missing in movies and storytelling in general, but also in life right now is, don't worry about, grades. We'll socially promote everybody. And look, you graduated. Yeah, but you're not actually educated. You just got a piece of paper. You're credentialed. That doesn't mean that you
the other thing that takes away from especially young men is the aspect of competition, of achievement, having that feeling of achievement. I put in the hard work and therefore I've achieved. Whereas if you put in the hard work and everybody else gets promoted right along with me, that has no feeling of accomplishment, of having done anything, but it's seen as toxic now. Oh, well, why do you want to be better than this guy? Because I want to be better. You know what I mean? I want to.
Right.
And now
self-motivation is key to a lot of that.
Yeah.
And now it's the participation trophy award mindset.
More importantly,
they hate merit. They hate competition.
Self-worth is only, I mean, the only way you get that again is internally, that that you did a thing. I would say that I very much doubt the quality of your life and manhood if you haven't had the opportunity to cry in defeat and through victory or some great joy. If you haven't done either of those things, I'm not sure you've really lived much of a life.
Yeah. Hi, Sherry. you doing, Dolly? You're doing well.
That's a great point, Goodwin, too. Life is a bit of a roller coaster with ups and downs. And if
Very much.
a lot of people now live a very linear, straightforward, pretty neutral life with very, very few defining experiences. And that's very sad and not masculine, actually. It's quite the opposite.
Yeah, and I think
experience no hardship whatsoever. You know?
Yeah, the problem is that so we, you know, I think we're kind of built to operate within a certain range, you know, that functionally that we recognize that these things are real adversities, that these things are, you know, kind of the joyous moments, and the calibration of that measuring is based on the kind of experience you've had. And if all you've done is really kind of stayed in the middle and neutral and not experienced something, right? That's how you get to they screwed up my coffee order at Starbucks is actual adversity.
Right.
Because that may be the biggest adversity that someone has encountered. And let me just reset and recalibrate your metrics for you, right? Let me give you some real adversity. And also let me give you some real joy, right?
Yep.
That's an excellent point. You know, we grow through adversity, and that's why maybe some people can be set off with referring to them by the wrong word. You know, maybe that's the hardest thing they've ever experienced. You make a good point. You know, whereas people like, you know, Desmond here in this film, he dealt with some real trauma and had to overcome it in his own way and conviction, and it's a pretty compelling story before us. So,
yep. Yeah, I agree. You can only hear with your comment. Hardships build character, suffering builds character. It's all how you deal with it. It can either break you or make you into a better person. Yeah. It's definitely whatever you do with in life can shape you for one way or the other. It really just depends on how you deal with it, right? A lot of people deal with it differently, but not that I want to say that there's a right or wrong way to do it, but I think, again, there's different approaches that can have more better beneficial outcomes as opposed to being actually being a coward in the long run, right? I'd say not that he's a character that we're going to talk about a lot of, but just another character in this movie is Hollywood. Guys, I mean, not that I really blame him, but he's scared shitless. He's not getting out there. You got Sergeant Howell yelling at him to get moving, and you think he's dead because he's got a gash on his face, but sure enough, he's alive. And Desmond Doss saves his life. So, yeah. And talking about Sergeant Howell.
A highlight of the movie for me.
What's that?
A highlight of the movie for me was Sergeant Howell.
I gotta play a clip for Blue that involves Sergeant Howell. Blue, this is for your dono earlier. I did not forget.
Have you ever roped a goat, Hollywood?
No, Sarge.
Have you ever looked into a goat's eyes?
No, Sarge.
Good, that would be unnatural.
Guys, if we try to teach you things about masculinity here on the channel, this is one of those things that you never do.
That's true.
There might be some people. There might be some people that we might know that would potentially look a goat in the eye.
That's true.
Don't do that.
Yep. Thankfully, they bailed at the last minute on this stream. So,
especially if Lord Tentacles is in a goat.
Oh, well, then I don't think it's unnatural at all. I think
right. Then at that point, you might kind of transcend and become better because Lord Tentacles has now, you're
not really staring into the goat's eye. You're staring
at
Lord Tentacles.
The new mayor of New York might have some words to say about that. I'm just saying.
I believe that he stares at the other side of the goat.
That's very true. Yes.
The goat's brown eye.
Yes. Good distinction. Yes.
Yeah. Zax. What's going on, dude? Good to see you, man. And Papa Pumpkin, men who stare at goats is unnatural. I mean,
it's true.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, he's definitely the comic relief in the movie, but I think for his character, right? He's obviously the sergeant or drill sergeant. Has a lot of great lines. is this initiator most of the time. He's the one that's in the battle, on the battle, yelling charge, giving commands, right? I mean, he's no pushover. And I think for him, he definitely conveys, the right type of leadership. Even though he's sort of confronted with Desmond Doss as an anomaly, because he doesn't really know how to really take it. But even his life is saved in the end. And, when he's sort of roped down with his bra knot that Desmond has created for the people that he's saving to lower them down the ridge, it's the moment when he's at the bottom and he's like, our boy's up there. Doss is up there, and as he's, jumping over, it's Howell that's saying, and saying fire, protect Doss, protect our guy, whereas before he's like, we got to do something to kind of, rough him up a bit, get him to quit, which is quite interesting how, again, he sort of realizes and I mean, this happens a couple times with different people, a few of our main characters here, but I gotta say, I really do like Vince Vaughn's role in this movie. I don't know if it's because of Vince Vaughn himself or maybe just that mixed with like the direction of Mel Gibson, but he does have some great lines that I do have queued up, of course, because there's a lot of great scenes. I figured, if Vex and Leon would have showed up, I had some clips in particular for them that I could also play, just because it is hilarious in terms of how he talks to people in the troop.
When he's yelling at the Pollock, and he, what does he say? I'm going to refer to you as Chief going forward because you look like it. Yes.
Yeah.
I was dying. That was Vince Vaughn bleeding through into the character fully.
It was, yeah. I had to split that up into a couple different clips because
out of respect for your people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll play them. Hang on.
Let me see your Indian war cry, son. I don't.
I love it.
I mean, he's no Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, but
right.
He's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. He does a pretty good job.
When drill instructors do that kind of stuff, it's all part of breaking the person down.
Oh, yeah.
Also, they can say some really funny stuff, and it's also to get other people to laugh, so then they can see if they have discipline or not. The hard teacher thing. Has anybody ever had somebody in your life when you were younger or whatever, and you're like, man, that teacher is an a-hole, or this person, or grandfather, why is he so hard on me, or whatever, but later on, after you've grown up, you see, oh, I see what they were doing, or they did the right thing, or now that I have more experience, I would have done exactly the same. The same with Hartman, why he wants to push so hard to get Doss out of there is because in his mind, he thinks he's going to get people killed by having that attitude. And you can't have that disruption to good order and discipline. That is one of the biggest reasons why people will get kicked out of the military, is that they're not meeting standards and it's disruptive to good order and discipline, because it can't just be about that one person. A lot of times people get let go or released or whatever, even though they're a good person, they've done everything right, they're a good worker, but there's something about them in their career that the military just doesn't need them anymore. So they have to let certain people go, and they just didn't make the cut, and out they go. So it's not like they messed up or were really bad, but the needs of the military come first. The needs of the unit, the mission comes first above individual people needing things. So when push comes to shove, somebody has to go. And in this case, it's in his mind, it's Desmond, and it goes all the way up the leadership chain. They're not doing it just because they're like, oh, this guy is kind of a wussy, maybe a little bit, but you can't have a person like that in there. And the whole point of basic training is to weed out non-hackers, people that are not suited for it, because it affects the mission and gets people killed if you allow people in there that are not suited for whatever it is. Just like, if you have somebody that can't read or write and you try to get them to code a computer. It's not going to work. So
yeah, I think one of the difficulties that civilians have in understanding the military is that, you know, civilians tend to be very much individualistic, and, you know, what about the individual, and it's not fair to this person or whatever. The military doesn't give a damn about the individual, right? You know, it's only in as much as you are effective in helping the larger goal, and that's always, you know, either, you know, at the you know, squad all the way up level. You know, you are a member of a group, and it is the function of the group that matters most. You know, it's also why your ideal of like a SEAL, you know, everybody thinks Arnie. No way. Most of those guys are fairly small and wiry, but they're just mentally tough. And it's about, you know, keeping your mind and doing the right things and knowing what other people are going to do in training and all that. When you have some guy that's like, I'm going to be different, you be different somewhere else, because this is the military. We're not interested in different.
Well, isn't that's why it's called a uniform, because you have to have uniformity.
Yes.
And individualism, you know, Americans were very, like you said, unique, and we believe in expressing ourselves in various ways. But yeah, I'm not, you know, I've never been in the military, but from what people say, you know, the movies portray it as someone, a good soldier is someone who can think outside of the box and think on their own 2 feet. When in reality, from what I've heard from people who have served, it's someone who can follow orders correctly and concisely and on time.
There's a hierarchy to it. So you heard of, like, you know, God, country, core. It's just like that.
Yep.
There's a hierarchy to it. So it's mission first. What's good for the military? What's good for the unit? But then it gets to what's good for the individual, and especially if you're in a leadership position, what's good for the people subordinate to me? What's good for them? What I need to make sure that they're fed, clothed, have the right discipline. I'm not letting somebody disrupt the unit by being soft on them. You're soft on them, this person is disrupting, it's causing the whole unit to have issues. You got to correct them. It doesn't mean that you definitely, you know, you don't care about that person and you can just do whatever. But there's a hierarchy of needs to the whole thing, and until it gets down to the individual. But it can also be a really great support system, because you have all these other people and a giant organization looking out for you, right? So if you get in certain situations, it can really be beneficial to have those people. And when you get out of the service and now suddenly that's gone, that's a big issue that a lot of veterans have. And is why I think, you know, the suicide rate can be so high, is because you went from having all these guys backing you up. When I say guys, I use that loosely, because, you know, there are a lot of women serving and stuff like that, but you don't have that infrastructure anymore. You don't have that structure and organization. Usually in the military, if A happens, you know that B, C, and D are the possibilities of what's going to happen next. You get in the civilian world, and you have no clue what someone's going to do. You know what I mean? Because it just doesn't operate that way. But so yeah, it does have that hierarchy, and but there is room for innovation and individuality. It's just very tightly constrained. You don't have a lot of latitude for it. But it's there. You can see it, like you get the Hollywood guy and how everyone's a little bit different, and they each have their kind of strengths and weaknesses and stuff. And I know people don't like the diversity as our strength thing, because it's been overused and used in the wrong way.
Right.
But, you know, people aren't robots, and you got people from all over. And when I was serving, I met people from all over the world, different places. And, you know, they have different perspective on things. And once you get to know them and see what their strengths and weaknesses are, that's when you got to plug them into these places. Like, okay, this guy's good at this, I'll make him do that. But you don't want to pigeonhole them. You want to push them so that it kind of works on their weak spots too. But
yeah,
I think that from the outside, though, you see people like Sergeant Howe, and you're like, that guy's just an asshole and doesn't like him. When there's more going on than that.
I think they displayed that fairly well, the individual characteristics. Like we had the cowboy, we had the card players, we had this guy, and each, but at the end of the day, they had to get in line and conform and work together. But they did show that, I think, in the barracks quite well. The personality traits.
Yeah, you even had a short king, like Rossi. I'm not too sure where he'll be, but yeah, Howell rips him. It says like, if you were American, you'd be taller. Hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, where they say stuff like that. And I mean, you kind of get that way. Like there were certain things like when new people came in, you'd look at their name and you'd see, okay, how can I set this person apart and give them respect their name, but also give them an individuality so that they understand that I recognize that they're an individual. And it would be like mean stuff sometimes, but that's what guys do. Like
for sure.
If you like people with their last name is Aaron or their first name is Aaron spelled with 2 A's.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I'd call him Double Aaron.
Double Aaron.
I'd be like, what's up, Double Aaron? Get in my office, and but or stuff like that, or you give him a nickname or something, or have a little thing about, you know what I mean? And so they knew that it was kind of personalized. Like they just a mindless, faceless person to you.
I had a kid in my hockey team that his name was Aaron, and after the Key and Peele joke came out, I like the entire locker room on my team. We would we yell it during the game, on the bench, pre-game, post-game in the parking lot. I mean, like, and to the point where he just got so sick of it, but then he just kind of got numb to it because it happened so much, and it probably still happens. But yeah, it's it's just something that like guys do. I mean, I feel like with Smitty here as an example, I really like his character a lot, just because I mean, you hear his backstory of what he came from, being orphaned, fostered, has to find his own way. Obviously, has dealt with a lot through his own life with trauma. And while he is aggressive, he's not the one that beats Desmond at night, right? But it's just like, dude, this is going to keep happening. Why don't you just quit? Like just give up, go home, right? Up until the point where he's like, when he and Desmond are sharing a hole together, and he kind of just, it's a great brotherhood moment between those two characters that I didn't use as a top moment for me, but it I don't want to degrade it in any way, shape, or form, because I do think it is important for those two characters, and just the aspect of Smitty going, I misjudged you. Usually I'm a good judge of character and everything like that, but I totally misjudged you, man. And there's the part where it's like, you can eat that canned meat. He's like, nah, I don't eat meat. He's like, of course you don't. I'm like, dear God, yeah. I mean, like,
that's perfectly acceptable to make fun of someone over, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Oh yeah, for sure.
Well,
so
I think
I would too.
So he doesn't necessarily say that he's a good judge of character.
Brawler.
What he says is he learned to judge people quickly.
Yes,
and that's
right.
when he says, and I was wrong. When I read you, that and again, that's a defensive thing. That if you're, I don't know about these people, I'm gonna read them quick. I'm gonna get a surface read and be like, okay, that's it, and that's someone that I need to keep at arm's distance or whatever. And the problem with that is that you can protect yourself doing that, but you can also miss a lot of opportunities to meet people that are have far more depth, and can be valuable.
Yeah, and I mean, even when he has a knife in his foot, he kind of knows how to hold his composure.
Idiot. Do you know why? Because I have a knife in my foot. Who placed the knife there, Private? It was an accident, Sergeant. It was playing stretch.
I mean, he's trying to cover for his own troop, until our warrior chief admits that he did it. And
I do love Ghoul, though. That's the best one.
Ghoul. Oh my God. Yeah, Ghoul's a great character.
How long have you been dead?
Yeah. Like, damn. I mean, he's not wrong though, but still.
The guy does look like a Ghoul. Come on.
I know.
And see, this is what I'm talking about, the diversity, right? You got all these different guys coming in, and they all have their own character quirks, and you got to learn those character quirks. Also, the delineation between officers and enlisted is pretty strict in the military, so you don't see a lot of interaction between them other than, doing functional things. One of the few things that was encouraged was to play like sports together.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Team building.
Yeah,
Team building, yep.
right. Yeah, it was the one interaction that you could have with like an officer that was not frowned upon, was like being on the same ball team or something like that. Was considered okay, but they just couldn't be
Rachel?
Constantly hanging out with you and all that kind of stuff. Every once in a while it was fine, like if you had a weekly ball game and then you all went to get hamburgers or something afterward, as long as that's all they did and they bounced, that's fine.
But no fraternizing.
No fraternizing, right? You couldn't.
Well, playing sports too will expose somebody's character traits on how they deal with victories and losses as well.
Right.
As well as being a team player, are they a cheater? Are they a poor loser?
Yeah, and you see that in other films. I mean, you see it in Top Gun, you see it in Band of Brothers, right? So it is important to both your points, Isaac and Shield also. I
also appreciate that NCOs are very clear. You don't call me sir. You call people sir. They're worthless. That don't do anything. Or as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman says, "Don't call me sir. I work for a living."
Yep.
That clear delineation of officers or something else. Yes, they give you commands, but you don't get to deal with them, and you got to worry about me.
Their own levels of expectations and things that they can and can't do. Things that an enlisted person, you'd be like, oh, it's no big deal if they did it. Like, let's say getting a tattoo on their forearm. For officers, at least when I was in, that was not a thing. Beards, mustaches, no. You rarely, unless you were a pilot and it was like November and they were doing like some kind of no shave thing, but as a standard, you didn't see officers with mustaches hardly at all. If it used to be so bad that like if they weren't married after a certain point in their career, that was considered negative. You had to join the officers club, and if you didn't, that was considered negative. So there were so many like extra rules and unwritten things that they had to do because they were considered, an officer. And if you take it far enough back, and a gentleman, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there were things that they were not allowed to do that an enlisted person can just run around and do whatever. So,
speaking of officers, I mean, obviously Captain Glover here, the reason why I list him as like the leader who also follows is because, and that's true, pilots of their own breed, Waylon, because he obviously does, I mean, he's of leadership, rank, but also, he does lead the charge. He does lead the way, and his men respect him. But at one point, he also follows the lead of Desmond, and in the late part of the third act, when Desmond's already been kind of treated and is resting finally. It's that approach that Captain Glover has to him. It's like, listen, I know it's your day off, but like I need you to do this. I need you to go up there. The men are relying on you.
That's a practical consideration.
True.
He realizes that his men believe that DOS is, like lucky or magical in some way. And he knows that if he tries to get him to go up absent, having DOS, they're either not going to fight very effectively, or you may have a revolt, rebellion on your hands, and that's a problem. And so, he's trying to kind of work this out and put the pressure on Dawes to go, but we really need to do this, but this is what the men think. And, I understand what's going on, but, let's see. And so, he's, again, it's a very practical thing. You always have to worry about like the morale of the people under you. And, orders are effective to a certain point, but you don't press them too far lest you have, insurrection in your ranks. And then I assure you, you're losing bars as well if you have a mutiny of some kind. That's not going well for you.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is he does know how to survive, at least when he covers up a grenade. I mean, that was some smart thinking there. Quick thinking on his feet, that's for sure.
I used to be friend when I was going to college. There was a guy in the philosophy department. Him and I used to hang out. He had retired out of the military after full career. I think he'd been in nearly 30 years when he retired out. But we were talking about the people that that throw themselves on grenades and stuff like that. And he was like, "Let me be clear. As a sergeant, I always have a portable sandbag around me." That dumb guy that isn't worth anything, he's real close to me in case there's a grenade he needs to heroically jump on, throw him down on it.
Yep, absolutely. I didn't forget about this. I wanted to go back to Jake, your comments when we're talking about mentors, because I'd say about if you ever had someone in your life that was a hard teacher. Yeah, my father was a bit of a hard teacher, which I respect the way he has allowed me to grow up to be the type of father I hope to be. But I also had a hockey coach and my drum instructor also in band and marching band as well. A hard ass. He definitely pushed me because I was a bit too lax because drumming came easy for me where other kids had to work harder at it. And so, yeah, I mean, he definitely pushed me to, do things like solos and ensembles and compete, in music competitions, right? Like on snare drum and whatnot. So, playing in ensembles, jazz bands and stuff like that. So, but that's awesome, dude, that you had like a similar experience in that. He was a big part of that. That's awesome to hear. I know we got a lot in common, man. It's an awesome thing. And you're saying he used to drive me from my hometown to Cincinnati every Sunday to play in his youth orchestra at the conservatory because he believed in me. That was 16, 20 years ago. And we're so close. That's awesome, man. I remember at one point it's sort of related, but there was one point where I asked if he could, train me a bit more at one point as I was like a senior in high school. And I feel like by that point, my, drum set skills were at a good point because I was playing all the time, playing in other bands, listening to a lot of, different ranges of music. But I played in front of him one time and he was like, "I got nothing else to really, I don't know how much I can actually teach you at this point. Like all I can do is just, teach you more discipline." And I mean, could he show me more chops? A little bit. Yeah. Which he did just to kind of help me think outside the box as a musician and as a drummer, of course. But in that point I was like, well, if you can't really teach me new ways to improve my playing, but you can teach me other things in terms of making sure my drumming discipline is there, like my chops are still there, which he did. And I feel like at that point, it was up to me and I screwed that up because I didn't want to go and play at up in Boston.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little music school up there that I just decided to pass on because I was like, I want to be in a rock band. I want to be a rock star. That's more my speed, if you will. And I got close, but you gotta try just to see where you succeed and whatnot. But what's up, Vex? Howdy, panel. Howdy, chat. Happy Monday, and my respects to veterans this week. Good to see you, Vexy. Hope you're doing well and better, feeling better. I know you had that migraine, so definitely see this movie still. You got to see it, Vex. because then you can, have great scenes like this.
You look part Indian. To what tribe do you belong, son?
No, I'm Polish.
Wrong. I believe you must have Cherokee or Shawnee blood in you.
No, sir.
Are you contradicting me? You wagon-burning son of a bitch! No, Sergeant!
Oh, man.
I love that
appreciated
line
the
so
wagon
much.
burning.
It's fantastic.
That-
I just like to quickly elaborate on the point you were making and Jake was making and everyone. That's why it's essential for, especially as a young man, to have these mentor figures that will push you. Especially if you're good at something, your peers will usually, your equals will say, "Oh, that's good, that's great." But it's the mentor figures that will push you to be better, to pursue it more. A father figure, a mentor, it's essential to have someone be like, "You're good at that, but get better." Peers usually won't do that as much.
I think the biggest thing about mentors, at least the ones that I had that were really they were kind of stuck, were the ones that were like, you're not in competition with all of these other people because
of course, Jakey.
you can beat them. You're in competition with yourself.
They can see your potential usually better than anyone can, you or your peers.
Yeah, but they also recognize
it's people who have been there and lived it.
Yeah, but it's also a recognition that just being better than whoever's in your class or whoever you're competing with, that's not enough. You have to drive yourself. That and put that in there. That the goal is not be better than everybody else. It's be better than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to see something in that person. So I'm in the age where I went from being mentored to being the mentor. And that was a big thing that the military pushed was, hey, you have to, train your replacement, the next generation, so on and so forth. And you did that, as part of your duties, but there would be individuals that you would see that had something about them that was worth your time investing in them and teaching them everything that you knew. And it is kind of, so you take this young person and you start, teaching them things, and they ask you questions and are interacting, and hey, how do I do this? And you try to steer them right. And when they fail, you give them the encouragement or the kick in the butt. Hey, why'd you do that? That was, dumb, or no, you just made a mistake. Even the old Picard thing, you can do everything right and still lose. Sometimes that happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you reach a point sometimes where they exceed you, or you have nothing left really to teach them other than give them encouragement. And so, yeah, it's kind of a thing that can happen.
Well, I also think that's one of the benefits of having a mentor that is, that's got some years on you, because if nothing else, then they have wisdom that they can guide you with, that you're not going to catch up to until you get to a certain age, you get the experience and all that.
It is a pretty good feeling when they I don't know, I think it's a masculine trait to be proud of them when they exceed you. I think there are a lot of people that there's jealousy and oh man, they're better than me now, and their life is better. But I think,
well, that's the old rule of A level players hire other A level players, or do their part to make the people beneath them better than they are. Right. I mean, I always said my goal is, if I'm hired in and I'm managing a team or something like that, my goal is to make me redundant. And so I either have to get better and find new ways to contribute, or I move on and go somewhere where, I can help out again and build up a team. But when you have, B level people, they're looking to hire C and D level people because they don't want the competition. They want because it's kind of a social thing. Oh, I have to keep, lesser people below me so they don't threaten my position. Fuck that. I mean, come and take my job. Let's go.
Right.
Well, that also reveals their own sense of inadequacy too, or whatever. They've realized they're mediocre, I think,
Well, and they're not interested in stepping up and doing better.
Right. They're complacent. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one virtue my father says to this day is a rising tide lifts all boats. And you should want people around you to do better and excel. That benefits everybody, inevitably.
And you always want to be the dumbest person in the room. And if you
That's
walk
very
in and
learned.
you're not, well, then get them good enough that you are.
Yep. Your son should be better than you at the end of the day, you know.
And I think, that goes for parenting as well. You know, you want your children to do better than you did.
Yeah.
And there was a time in our country where that happened.
That is very true.
But I'm not sure that we're going in that direction anymore.
Well, I think there's a mistaken belief that's going on now, and I think it's driven much more by a feminine kind of view of things, where I want my children to have a better life than me, and somehow that means that they don't actually encounter adversity. But that's not how you get better. The idea is to prepare them to be able to go out into the world and deal with adversity and learn from it and understand, things aren't always going to work out. That's fine. As long as you did your best, learn from it. Don't let it happen again. Right. Don't make the same mistakes twice. I say that if you want to become an expert, do all the wrong things, but only do them once. And then whatever's left over is the right way to do it. I didn't say that was the fastest way. I just said it was the easiest. And that's kind of how you have to deal with life. So part of like raising kids, there's always a balance between the mom is like, oh, but they might, skin their knee or something like that. Well, yeah, but they'll also learn from that. Don't do that again. Yep. And so, there's a balance of their mom's unconditional love, and dad is preparing you for the real world. So he's like real world light. I actually care about you, unlike the world.
And it's very essential for a father to realize he's not meant to be your best friend right now. He's, when you're on equal footing, down the road, more equal footing. That's one thing. But they feature that in this movie very well when the brothers are fighting. The father says, let them do it. Let them work it out. And then when they take it too far and the brick comes into play, well, the father has to step in because it was taken too far.
Well, to be fair, he also does the classic dad thing, which is I'm trying to minimize my work, where he goes, let him work it out. I just only have to beat the winner.
Right. Exactly. Which, I don't have a brother, but I've had friends that have brothers, and that definitely happened. Which, I witnessed a couple of times, and, I was like, I'm not going to break it up. I'm going to let them kind of fight and kind of get into it. But, it's a good segue with Tom Dossier, because obviously, he done seen some shit. He done seen a part of some shit. Which, the fact that the very first scene you see him in the movie is in a graveyard, with all the tombstones of all his friends that he kind of is pointing out, right? And he's pissed and breaks the bottle over, over his hands and bleeds on one of the tombstones. And I was like, that's all I can give you today, but it's like, these are the real heroes that have, given their lives. But yeah, you see and collectively the trauma that he's had to deal with. It's like one of those moments where like, why is he still alive? Sort of things that we hear a lot about, where a lot of war heroes don't like talking about it because they get like this, or they get emotional. Kind
of survivor's guilt at times.
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
in large industrial warfare, where it's not, oh, I was trained better and I did this special thing. No, it was a random chance. A shell landed, 10 feet away from me and killed my friends, but didn't kill me.
Yeah. And you see a lot of that. We have seen a lot of that in movies, but we know that's true in real life, based on what we've read, what we've been told, through stories and history books. And I think for his character here, again, as we've said in chat, as well, like, Hugo Weaving's performance in this movie is outstanding. And obviously, when he walks into that court-martial scene, which we'll get more and talk more in depth about, that is where he finds that redemption. It is this one act, but like he didn't want to see both of his sons do what he did. And obviously, much like he survived, his son, Desmond survives. But still, just the thought of losing two sons is already going through his mind and playing like these worst case scenarios. Like I'm there's the possibility that I survive, but my two offspring, my lineage, my heirs, my ongoing legacy is gone. Yeah, sure, I've got medals that talk about what I did and everything, but I know most fathers tend to think that their offspring is their true legacy. That's what they want to have, everlasting is the not so much the name itself, but just like their children to continue on, right? So
well, and I think there's there's a moment in the battle that very much captures the idea of that in peacetime sons bury their fathers, in war fathers bury their sons. It is one of the terrible things about war is that it is, sadly it's played by young men, and you are taking the future and spending it and putting it in the ground. And that's one of the many reasons that war is terrible, but just as a society or a civilization, to take, like, the British, you say, the flower of their culture, and just bleed it out in Europe during that war, and you essentially lose a generation. And these are the people that are supposed to take over, that are supposed to to go beyond, and you have parents that are burying their children.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's important too, not to glorify war, beyond its necessary means. Obviously, I'm not saying to be a pacifist or anything, but there are people who take the wrong message from things and think, oh, war is, badass or whatever. There's certainly elements of heroism and great things like we see, but
sure,
definitely puts things in perspective that war is ultimately meant to be avoided, at all costs, for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I glean from it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird, just from even the standpoint of like playing a video game where like a lot of cool stuff happens when you're playing Battlefield 6 and whatnot, but like thinking that, well, stuff like that has kind of happened in real life. So and a lot of people died, being blown up by tanks and shot, and blown up by mortars, and
not if you're using HE rounds, because apparently those won't kill anything.
If only people had to deal with lag in real life and and latency issues, that maybe we had some people still alive. But oh man,
well, and I mean the concept, it's one thing to go, well, war bad, yes. I think pretty much everybody that isn't an idiot or is just overly romanticized agrees with that. But even as far back as the Romans, you have the phrase of the Pax Parabellum, which is the was it Sibi Pacem Parabellum? If you want peace, prepare for war.
Yep.
Right. So the idea of you always prepare, you make it dangerous, and that anybody who messes with you will understand that this isn't going to be a light snack. This is going to be an all-day Twinkie.
Well, that's a big part of masculinity, is being dangerous without being dangerous. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're weak and you're not a threat to anybody, it's just because you're harmless.
Yeah.
But if you're strong and you know how to fight, but you're not a threat to anybody, that just means you're peaceful.
Yeah, I mean, I always, somebody confronts me or something like that, let them know what the rules and what the outcomes are going to be, so that you can't claim you didn't know. But it's like, if we start, I'm not 18 or 19 just looking to be the cock of the walk and attract women or whatever. If I get violent, I'm putting you down. You will cease to be a threat. However I define that. And if you want to swing, okay. But I'm letting you know that ahead of time, so you can't afterwards go, shit, I had no idea. No. How far are you willing to go? Because I'm willing to go an awful long way.
Mm-hmm.
That tends to diffuse situations for people that are just shooting their mouth off and trying to talk themselves into a fight.
Right. And as you get older, a lot of it hinges on not getting into bad situations in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're not trying to, be 19 and meet a lot of girls, that tends to remove a lot of those problem areas right
Yeah,
away.
when you start thinking with the right head, then
Yeah. But having a woman like Dorothy, I think that having that is an important part.
For sure.
Of a masculine upbringing.
Well, I think it also Doss says something very very interesting that I think is true for. It's one of the reasons that I think that men that aren't married, that aren't raising families, I question how fully they've embraced manhood, because he says, yeah, but if I compromise on this, I wouldn't be the man that you deserve. Right. That because of who he's with, and it's not because of any burden she's placed.
Yeah.
It's because he's placed that he believes she deserves the best kind of man.
Yep.
And so he has to better himself. Right. I always, joke about my wife, through no fault of her own, changed me. Not because she would harangue me or ask him anything. In fact, she was the opposite. She wouldn't, place that burden or anything, but just looking and going, she deserves better than what I am. So I better get good.
Yeah. It's that quote he says, "I'll never be the man I want to be in your eyes." And I was like, yeah, that
I want to be. Not that you're demanding, not any burdens you're placing on me.
Right.
But that now I'm not just living my life for me. I'm looking at you and going, you deserve this level, and so I need to step up.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like that meme. You see the meme of the guy doing push-ups, and it always says, "If I don't do this one less rep, I'm gay and my whole family dies." Basically, it's the meme. The self-motivating factor of but the gay part aside, the family part. It's
right.
Men left to our own devices.
We'll remain boys. We'll remain
pretty
boys.
much. Yes. Yeah, you have no responsibility and no motivation to succeed. But when you have that factor included, it makes you push. So
because my kids would be like, "Yeah, Dad, but I'm not really like you. I'm not motivated." And I was like, "Ho, back the fuck off! You have no idea what I was like before I had you. I am the most irresponsible, lazy son of a bitch you've ever met." But having family was nope, can't do that and won't. And so step up and go. But if I'd have just been left to my own devices, I'd have been a fuck up in the biblical order.
Yeah, that's definitely something I would. Oh my goodness, I got stories to tell you, but
well, having the right kind of femininity around a masculine person shapes and molds them and pushes them, directs them in the right direction, the right mindset. It is the nurturing catalyst, exactly right, where the need and desire for that pushes that person in the correct direction. And I think that having that, not having that, can you still be masculine? Yeah, but I don't think you're not as well rounded as you could be.
Yeah, I don't think you can attain your highest levels without that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, especially, once you have children, now you have an investment in the future beyond your lifespan.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is how Dorothy Doss was in real life, if her character is true to form, or if it's just Mel Gibson being a base dude that's like, no, this is how femininity should be, when paired with a man.
Well, we know they stayed married until she died.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was
I think a lot of women were that way back then.
Right. I was going to say, and the other thing is that's how majority of women were, which is crazy. And I mean, I'm glad a female such as Rachel recognizes this, because even in my video, I talk about femininity and how important it is for masculinity as well. And femininity has been shit on as well in cinema for quite some time now. You know, you don't see roles like this. And granted, this movie came out in 2016, which again, you know, could be one of those films that in the last, you know, within a 10-year span could be a little bit of an anomaly that has like, oh, we've got masculinity and we've got femininity here. So cool that we've got both that we can appreciate, you know, with these directions. But I appreciate that, Rachel.
I mean, you had classic femininity replaced with the worst of male behavior, especially like young male behavior.
Yeah.
But you've got 30 and 40-year-old women acting like 17-year-old boys.
Yeah, and you see the stereotypical lesbian haircut. It's like a Gen Z stereotypical haircut now. And
yeah, I got a 50-year-old with dyed hair, and I'm like,
exactly.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
But also, again, the you know, I'm going to be overly sexual, like I'm a 17-year-old boy just trying to stick my dick in anything that, you know, it'll fit in. And women now behaving in that way. Men, well, young boys trying to become men, you know, worried about status, worried about, you know, the material type of things.
Yep.
And now, you know, you see women enacting that and going, look, I'm liberated. And I was like, I remember when I behaved that way. Wasn't all that liberated.
It's a caricature of what they think masculinity is because they don't know what it is whatsoever.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing where you have these CEOs and stuff, and they're like, how come guys don't like me? I've got all these degrees and I'm a powerful CEO, because they don't understand what's actually attractive to a man.
Right. And they also
they're
don't compete on the same level as a man, where it was like, no, trust me, if a dude talked to me the way you were talking to me, we'd be out in the parking lot and I'd be, you know, arranging his appointment with the dentist. But I can't do that to you.
But
it's so true what you say about degrees. That's stuff on the wall. Yeah.
Well, they look at it like this. I would be attractive to a guy that had all these accomplishments. Therefore, I must be attractive to men because I have all these accomplishments. And that's not what is attractive to men. Now, can men be interested, or if she has all these other qualities, proud of her accomplishments? Sure. But I think coming into a relationship with no student debt is better than being a CEO or having a bunch of degrees, in my opinion. That would be, or being competent. Like, you can actually trust this person to go do things at the bank, or, you know, operate by themselves without you having to be there all the time or something.
Yeah. There's a line, I want to say it's earlier on in the movie. I want to say it's when Doss talks to his dad, when he says that he signed up, and he says, there's a war and they need men. And I thought about that line to the point where if there was a war right now, how many biological male people would actually go and say that
we're
same
not counting
thing?
Pronouns?
Hell no.
Okay.
What a bigot, Nick.
I know. Oh my God.
Wow. Sorry. Toxic masculinity here.
I need to go to my safe space right now. Wow.
You know, it's like, I guarantee you a lot of these, you know, soy boy snowflake, you know, people, you know, these kids who think they're men, would never think that thought would never go through their mind. Go, there's a war? Sign me up. Where do I go?
Well, I think there's a great moment when Doss is explaining. He was like, two guys,
it's a fun ride.
You know, didn't they were rejected. You know, they were given 4F status because they physically couldn't join, and they killed themselves.
Right. That happened quite a bit.
Yeah.
How many people lied about their age on submitting?
Oh yeah.
To, you know.
Yeah. It was a different time though, and there were also people that really wanted to sign up, but they had an important job, like at a factory or something. We're like, no. We need you to stay home and work at the factory. And they had to cling to that as like their lifeline of, look, I'm so important, I have to work at the factory. Think of also all the old people that tried to join.
Oh yeah.
They had to turn away, the older men. I remember when 9/11 happened, one of the guys that I worked with used to be a recruiter, and he had he was talking to friends. He said there were guys coming that were Vietnam age era guys, that there were people that had been out and were like super fat and out of shape that wanted back in. They were just flooded with people trying to join up right after 9/11.
Well, I remember the Gulf War. I had a guy that was on the same floor as me, who his family were from South Vietnam and came over as part of the boat people after the North took over, and his dad worked at the State Bureau of Investigations, but when he saw that was just starting to warm up and we started shipping stuff over, he went to a recruiter and tried to sign up, and they basically said, "Son, it's going to be over before you're out of basic." But he really wanted to, and his thing was, I didn't get to fight for my country, Vietnam, because he was like 4 or 5, but he was like, I'll be damned if I'm not going to fight for this one. It was in peril, and they were basically like, no, it's not in peril, so it's fine, go ahead, go back.
Right. That whole that was kind of a different era too, because the Cold War was still going on, and
well, it ended, but
our military was about double the size it is now.
Yeah, we were chunky boys at that time.
Yeah, but yeah, having a and also the role that a nurse plays when men are wounded, and that connection that they have to back home, and what I mean, and clean and feminine, and I don't know if people realize how soothing that can be in actual healing. It can be
for sure
in a bad situation. You're hurt, you're sick. I don't know. I think a lot of women that are married to men kind of know that, because the meme, the guy will like put a nail through his hand and be like, I'm good to go, but he'll catch the flu and be like,
I'm dying here.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Yeah.
World's over. Yeah.
Exactly. How like just a cold will knock a guy out, where he's got like a nail sticking out his hand. He's like, I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I remember one time I was like just totally bashed my foot in, and like I'm surprised I didn't break my toe or something like that when I walked into a table, and like didn't realize my half my foot was swollen. I was like, oh my God, what happened to your foot? I'm like, didn't even realize that happened, but whatever. All right, time to go to the gym. Like it's fine.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not, legs still there. Cool. It means I could still walk. Right. But yeah, the moment I got like a flu, and I'm like, snot's dripping down my nose, I got a cough, I got the chills. I'm just like, grab my tombstone, Masculine Mondays. Nick was here, and that's it. I'm done for. But but the next day I'm like, stupid cold. You got nothing on me. That's ivermectin.
I love Jake with the go on without me. I think it was the Eddie Murphy skit where he was like, it was John Wayne. He gets shot. You go on without me, and he's like, hell no. I mean, don't you leave me, motherfuckers. I'll shoot you myself.
But yeah, I think you're right. Shidwell, like, I mean, even the way she responds in her timeline with them meeting, talking, going on a date, talking about somewhat medic type conversations, and what's the difference between a vein and an artery, right? Like, you're gonna keep asking these questions. It's a great questions for a date, right? To the point where he kisses her and she slaps him, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, but you didn't ask.
Yeah, she's like,
if that happened today, if that happened nowadays, the movie would be over.
Right? Yeah. Roll the
roll credits. He just got me too.
Yeah, the Curb Your Enthusiasm song goes.
I didn't see anyone. Nobody filled out a consent form before.
Yeah, exactly. Where was the intimacy coordinator? What the fuck? Yeah, but also when he comes back the next day, I was like, and that's when he got a restraining order, and I was too bad.
Yeah. But I mean, even to the point where, I mean, she's obviously flustered when he's like, I've already joined. It's too late. She storms out of the car, and then she's like, aren't you going to ask to marry me? You know, and it's like, yeah, no, I am, you know.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to. Well, I don't know until you asked me. It was like,
exactly,
oh,
but you better ask the damn question. I mean, like, obviously, I don't know if that also speaks to the quality of women as well back then than as it does.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
now,
like his
maybe?
dad kind of points out, have you ever actually talked to a woman
Talked
or
to-
whatever? You can tell he doesn't understand women over the, oh, I'm outraged. Are you? No, I don't know. But then, you know, he's like, well, I thought you'd let me know. No, you know better than that. I mean, again, women will be like, you need to wait for my permission. Why are you waiting on my permission? Okay. Let me just get out my mind reading hat and see.
Yeah, so even Rachel agrees.
Yeah. I mean, some things have never changed. You know what I mean? Like, how come you didn't know what I was thinking? Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I guess at this time you had to be a little wary too, because that was like 10 G's if you kick the bucket. So there might be a financial incentive to
get the insurance.
Well,
Yep. Insurance.
So
if we, and kind of
not saying it was in Dorothy's case, but
for sure.
That's why she had to stay with him until she died, because she never got that insurance money, so she couldn't strike out on her own.
Talking a little bit more about our 5 scenes here. Obviously, we mentioned it, how he refuses the rifle, and Sergeant Howell calls him Private
I
Cornstalk.
have seen stocks of corn with better physiques. Makes me want to pull an ear off, Private. Can you carry your weight?
Yes, Sergeant.
Should be easy for you then. Corporal, Sergeant, make sure you keep this man away from strong winds.
Yes, Sergeant.
Not the most harmful thing he could have said, but same thing. It's just the way he laughed after he's talking to Chief, and so of course that's going to bring him over. But it's the lead up, right? How he's refusing to take up the rifle because of what he believes, what he thinks is according to his faith. You know, I don't believe I need to do this, because if I'm just here to help the wounded and help heal people and be a protector, why do I need to take a life? You know, it's kind of like that quote that he says. I believe it was either Jacob Whalen that said it earlier in chat about based on how the world looks right now, the world.
Everybody's trying to tear things down. You know, maybe
I mean, everybody understands the reason why they want him. It's such a big deal that he uses the rifle, right?
Yeah,
this is my rifle. There are many like it.
Well,
but this one is mine.
It's like the Marines with every man's a rifle or whatever. The fact is that if you get overrun, if you have a wounded man and the enemy is coming at you, what are you going to use? Harsh language?
Well, there's that aspect of it, but also, so when you go through basic training, you don't technically have a job yet. Everyone is trained exactly the same in basic training, and then you go to your
MOS.
They want you to do, right? So he's like, I'm going to be a medic. Well, you don't know that, dude. You haven't been through training yet. You could wash out or something. So they're not going to assign you the slot. So by him not picking up the weapon, he's technically not completing the training to standard, and that's why it. Beyond the fact that they think he needs to know how to use it, and there's a war on and all this other stuff, but that's the core baseline problem that it is.
Yeah, there's a baseline set of skills in which you are all fungible. I should be able to take anybody and put them in this particular role and know that they can do these basic things that they learned in basic
and that's why
training.
It's called basic training. If they don't meet all of the metrics for the basic, they can't pass. I mean, obviously it's World War II, so they're just like, all right, whatever, but they could be with it if that's how it really went. But also you can't let him just be like, nah, I ain't gonna do it, because then other people will be like, well, I don't want to run this mile or whatever it is. So that's the other aspect of it. It's not just, well, we want him to have a gun. It's, we can't let this guy buck the system.
It's also interesting too for Desmond's character. Like you could see him, excelling at pretty much, other aspects of training or basic training, right? Like he's kind of, you can see that early competition with Smitty, and where he beats Smitty, right? Smitty kicks him down, but he's like keeping up with him, and you think, oh, Smitty's like kind of like the alpha right? He's the one that's going to be first in everything, the best shooter, the best combat, and sure enough, he's the one who's leading the race at the end of that final stretch. And then he gets beat by Private Cornstalk here, which didn't really sit well. It's like, what are you still doing here? And he thinks it's kind of funny and hilarious, but even the way Sergeant Howell's, I don't think he's wrong as to what he's saying, because again, like, what happens if one of your troops members here are fighting in a hand-to-hand combat with an enemy, and they don't have a weapon? Like, what are you going to do at that point if you don't have a rifle? Are you going to try and choke them out? Because at that point you're using your hands as a weapon as well. So if you're prepared to use your hands as a weapon, why not use a rifle at that point? At least it's quicker. I mean, it happens in the movie where it was one of the Japanese falls or is in like a entanglement with Dawson, and who shoots him off? Smitty, right? If at least I believe it was. So again, what would have happened if the positions had been reversed? If it's Smitty that had someone on top of him and it was Desmond there, what would Desmond have done at that point? So,
well, that's the problem with so you can admire Dawson in his beliefs or whatever. The problem is that they kind of fail the basic rules of morality. And there was a Immanuel Kant that said, if you want to decide if something is moral or not, wish it universal, right? That everybody operates on this role, or at least everybody on your side. And so if everybody in the military, I want to join the military because there's a war on and I'm going to show up. But if none of you are willing to kill, then you're not actually a military, and this war is over, and everything that you care about, all those people that you're talking about, it's done. And so there's a certain amount of free rider problem that Doss has, that he depends upon those other people willing to kill, but he won't, even if it costs other men their lives, which it does. And they show it where the Japanese are coming up on wounded, and all he can do is duck and hide because he doesn't have a gun and he can't shoot them. Right. He does cost men lives. He also saves men. That's a nice balance. But the fact is that at any moment it becomes a problem because of his beliefs. And it's one of the reasons the military are like, get him out.
You make a good point, and I kind of see it similarly to people who eat meat but are like very opposed to taking an animal's life themselves, and they're like all against that. They're like, obviously the vast majority of people in modern society are never going to have to take the life of an animal, but I mean, if and I'm all for I eat meat. If it comes down to it and you're going to die of starvation, are you willing to do that? Essentially, so you can have your virtues over here, but at the end of the day, if you really need to eat, are you willing to take an animal's life? And you have the privilege, everyone around you is shooting and protecting you. But if it comes down to it, are you willing to do what's necessary? And that's the moral contemplation that takes place here.
Yeah, and I'd say to that degree too. I had that same thought. I figure that's kind of where you were going with it. It's like, even if you were a man of faith going, but you had that same like, I don't want to take a man's life, but I love eating ground beef and I love eating steak and I love eating bacon, and chicken and whatnot. Love my eggs, but
I'm fine as long as someone else does the killing.
Yeah, but and it's the thing. But if you're out and alone and you're like, man, I gotta find some meat, and you see some chickens, and you're like, well, or you see like a cow or something like that, some sort of meat that you can just cook up. It's like, well,
suddenly your morality gets a bit flexible. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so at that point, like, well, technically we are here on top of the food chain. So
right. But the thing is that Doss has this belief of war as the people are trying to kill me and so I can somehow opt out. And then if they kill me, that's fine. The problem is that your job is also to protect the man beside you. And what he's doing is a free rider. he's riding on the determination of the other men to be willing to shoot somebody who's going after Doss.
Yeah.
Even though they really should go, nah, bro, you do you, because you want to be, you know, the conscientious objector. And it would be one thing again if he was drafted, but he volunteered.
Volunteered to do it. Yep.
And in reality, he's not pulling his own weight if he's not willing to defend himself too, because, you know, it's not like they were issuing M1 Garands to medics. You know, they had small carbines or pistols and stuff. They weren't going out looking for confrontation all the time, but
the thing was,
you have to be ready for it too.
The Pacific Theater, they were most assuredly arming medics because the Japanese were specifically targeting them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And he mentions that too. Take off the armband, take off the helmet.
Right. The two theaters were a lot different. The Germans routinely respected the Red Cross, and also to the point where if you were wounded and then the Germans captured you, they would give you medical attention,
right?
And vice versa. Same with the Italians and pretty much all people involved in that. But in Japan, their idea of warfare and how things should be prosecuted were a lot different.
European ethics and Japanese are different.
Yeah. And obviously, like it's been stated too, like they were ruthless to that extent, right? I mean, you do see that to a good degree in this movie. I mean, you see it in other World War II movies and shows. I was just thinking too, he's putting other men in a position to kill on his behalf, which I'm not sure is lesser evil in context. Yeah, it's like it is a weird trade-off as I thought about it as I'm watching it, because it's like, you know, people in his troop are doing the shooting, but if then they get wounded, it's like, now I'm here to at least rescue you and get you to safety in case you get shot, right? So, but it's weird because I feel like I would have this sort of guilt. Like I wouldn't mind being a medic, but me personally, like I'm definitely not going to pass in that rifle. In the event that, or like at least like you know, a pistol, something, right? That
definitely.
Like I understand rifles, it's a bit larger to carry. You know, if you're having to carry a guy, does it get in your way? Well, guess what? If you have a holster, then maybe that doesn't really get in the way so much. But at least it's something to not only help protect yourself, but to protect your men, your brothers. So, you know, again, that was sort of my thing. I was like, I don't think I could actually ever do what he did, even as a man of faith. Like, you know, they figured at the end of the day, like much like Captain Glover said, like, you know, this is war. This is different, right? Different circumstances. And I always said, well, if that ever came down to it, you know, if I ever did serve and if I ever did have to take a man's life at that point, like, I feel like, well, I'll have that conversation with my creator, and you know, we'll cross that bridge when, you know, when the time comes. But at least while I'm here, I'm going to do what I can to protect the people that I care about, people that I love. And because, you know, if I'm dead, then I'm not really, my time to protect people has come to an end. And I guess I know Doss sees it differently, of course, but you know, that's still the guy yelling at him. Just that is from a commanding officer. I always imagine that was like how good when you would yell at Leon about his L takes in film.
One thing that to keep in mind is that the United States
What's up, Tony?
already had a mechanism
Good to see you, man.
for people who were straight up conscientious objectors. Like if you were a Quaker, they were like, hey, you don't got to go. Be on your way. His situation was different because his denomination wasn't recognized under that, and he wasn't fully against the war. He was just like, I just don't want to touch a gun.
So, and he volunteered. He wasn't drafted.
Right, exactly. He wasn't drafted. That's the other thing. If he had gone, I think he could have maybe, if he was drafted, he could get out. So his is like a very unique situation in a way. That he had to go through a bunch of stuff in order for it to kind of get worked out. But in the end, they went through the trial and all. So, but yeah, this is when you're on the out with the in group. You know what I
Yep.
mean? This is the stuff that can happen.
Yep.
By the way, this is not allowed anymore. If this were to happen to somebody, everybody would be in trouble. Like,
Really?
yeah, big trouble.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, so I had a second cousin that was a Marine drill instructor at Paris Island, and then he did 3 tours in Vietnam because that's where he was sending his men, and he wanted to protect them. But they put in the rule about you can't strike, enlisted and all of that while he was still a DI. So what they did was if he had a problem with a particular soldier, they would have a hand-to-hand combat demonstration where all the other DIs kind of surrounded, and we Private Ass Clown is now going to have a hand-to-hand combat demonstration and get his ass wrecked. But yeah, you couldn't lay hands on him, and it got to the point. Yeah, it's by now. Well, not only that, right now they have like the red cards that you can use in basic. You can basically you get like 3. You can call timeout, and it's like, this is too stressful, and just put it up. And then
I don't agree with that. But
yeah, I know it's
specifically referring to was the other members of the unit doing like a blanket party or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
All of them would like,
yeah, they'd always stand tall before the man.
Right. Because that'd be assault. And now, was it effective? Yes, but see, it's not being used by anybody in real authority, right? It's just the unit doing it. And so is it appropriate? Is it not appropriate? Are they getting out of hand? But it was it's a thing that men do, right? Is they regulate when they're in a group. There's a pecking order, a hierarchy. Sometimes it has to become physical in order for that hierarchy to get worked out. But when men interact, there's always that possibility of physicality,
of violence,
in any situation you're at, even if it's like, people sitting across from each other at the UN. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or having a card game and
card or whatever the case,
just anything.
Yeah,
let shit get out of hand, and here we go. But I think what they're kind of demonstrating here is something that groups of men, we kind of act like an immune system, where you get someone in who just isn't going to fit. We're going to try and drive you out, one way or the other. And the sergeant's basically saying, you have permission to this is clearly someone who isn't going to fit in, who's that is not of our ethos and is going to undermine things. The immune system needs to deal with this foreign invader and get it out, because we've tried to get him to quit through the proper channels, and he won't do it. So let's just let the body handle that, and they do, but he's not quitting.
Yeah, because even the sergeant kind of takes part in it, right? When he flips his cot over, it's like, your areas look like a pigsty. It's like, clean it up, and obviously because of what was it? Because of that.
Oh, then they group punishment, right? It's because this guy's fucking up, everybody gets punished. That way I know that they're going to take it out on him.
Yeah, it's this part.
Now, everybody in full gear for a 20-mile hike. Let's go! Let's go!
And it's like, shit, this is my fault. But yeah, 20-mile hike.
I will say Vince Vaughn is not going to make it as a DI if he doesn't learn how to yell properly, because he's tearing his throat up.
Yeah. Get that high pitched
again, he's talking with his throat. You need to project from the diaphragm to be loud.
Yep.
A really good movie that they would show us in leadership training. I think it's 1950. It has the guy in there from Dragnet, like Sergeant Friday, that actor, and it's called The DI. It's a really good movie. One of the things they have him do in there is they're in training, and they have him laying down, and they're like, okay, everybody remain still and silent. And a guy slaps a gnat on his neck, and they don't say anything to him. They get him all back to the barracks, and he was like, I saw you slap that gnat. I told you not to move, and you killed that defenseless gnat. So we're all going to pack, and this is after they all cleaned up and everything. We're going to go back out to the field, and we're going to find that gnat. And we're going to have a funeral. And so he'd go out there. He's got everybody with flashlights looking for this bug.
You got to police the yard for the gnat.
And then they got 2 guys digging a hole, the grave for it, and it's like 8 feet deep. And then they got 1 guy filling it back in. So, and I'm just, this whole scene reminded me of that movie. But the movie is outstanding because there's no cussing in it at all. But the way that they train them and how they're talked to was an example to like us, or like, this is how you interact with people, how you motivate them and all that kind of stuff without having to like, yell and scream and all this. So it's a, I think it's a good movie. But they showed that they legitimately use that to train us in leadership. Parts of that
movie. Yeah, running 20 miles period sucks. Just because I hate doing cardio. I just lift weights, right? Or lift weights faster, as Arnold said to do. But actually, it's too strong to be a DI. I can understand real DIs for shit.
No, the reason you can't understand real DIs for shit is that they are doing nothing but just making noises with their diaphragm most of the time and letting you figure it out. Anybody, again, DIs, well, the other thing is that we, a lot of the military now, they're doing rotation. So it's like there'll be somebody that comes in, they do DI for a specific term, and then they go back to a different MOS.
Yeah,
And
right.
so they don't really learn.
It's like an assignment at a different base or something. You do it for 3 or 4 years, but the selection process is very high. The standard of people they let in is extremely high, and it's very easy to F up and get booted out of the program compared to what it used to be.
Yeah.
So because there were lots of like abuses going on and weird stuff happening, especially with the female trainees and whatever. So
yeah, Air Force had a big big problem. Was that about 10 years ago with DIs that were sleeping with the
it was it was a thing. And the way that when I went through, the way the units were set up is the buildings are built like in the 60s, kind of Vietnam area or whatever, so they had a lot more people going through at the time. So they had 2 of the bays were connected by an interconnected door, kind of like staying in a hotel that has a connecting door. You know what I mean? So I had a lock on it and stuff, but you could see under the thing. Well, so we were a male unit, and right next to us was the females. It used to be a male unit. They just converted it to a female one and threw them in there. So they were right next door. So people are passing notes and all kinds of weird stuff under the door. Yeah, it got pretty crazy.
Yeah, I definitely would not have taken a mirror and slid it halfway under the door and then looked.
Yeah.
How did you know that was?
Because I did that shit in high school when we had showers and stuff that were separated that way.
Here's the thing: the guys weren't doing it; the girls were doing it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They would put a mirror under it and then stand over it.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I'll give you a show.
Because they knew the guys would look at it. That's
100%.
And then when you went to church, that was like the only time that you like commingled at all. So it was quite interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. I think this scene, like we've been mentioning how, number one, Sergeant Howell is trying to get the names out of who did it, and Desmond's like, who said I got beat? And maybe I'm just a heavy sleeper, right? So it is interesting how Desmond is reluctant to just rat out the people, which he very well probably could have, even though it was at night. And he's like, I got guard duty in about 30 minutes, so like I gotta put my coat
I got
on.
KP and all that.
KP,
sorry,
I got KP. Yeah, like I got I'm staying. He's like,
can't do that walkout with you. Sorry about that. Just scheduling conflict.
Right. Yeah. So, which I was like, I don't think Howell thought that would actually happen, but kind of surprised him a little bit, at least here in this moment. But also, it's like, man, there's something's got to give with this kid. Like he's not meant to be here, and obviously that's what kind of just leads. I mean, they're all in this sort of disarray. Like you couple other scenes of other people in the street are kind of just sitting there like, he's not leaving, guys. Like, and it was some of the people that took part in beating his ass, that night or the night before. So,
well, there's also the recognition of the again, if me and a buddy got into it and we threw down, and then a teacher comes walking in, what the hell is going on? Oh, I slipped and fell down, because either we're going to solve this shit internally, or you and I have a certain rule. We don't you don't punk out and go run to the teacher. You don't narc,
exactly
that kind of stuff. And that's
it's also a sense of self-preservation too, because snitches get stitches, and he doesn't want.
Yeah, but I mean, he could have walked out. I mean, again, he could have just gone, yeah, okay, I'm out and I'm done, right? And that's kind of what they're expecting, because they believe that he's a coward.
Yeah.
The thing is that what he's demonstrating is he's not, but he's not going to narc out or anything like that. He's like, nah, I'm fine.
Yep.
Just going to do me and
keep on going.
Yeah, and again, that earns respect.
Yeah, yeah, and unfortunately, it leads him into a court martial, especially after this happens.
Touch a rifle, sir.
I'm not asking you, Private! That is a direct order from a company commander!
For God's sake, Dawes. You stop this nonsense and quit.
Well, he doesn't, but kind of puts him in a part where he does face some frustration, right? Like I mentioned earlier, he's not always calm. He does have a little bit of a freak out here in this holding cell. Punches the door a bunch, flips his cot here, and obviously he composes himself once Captain Glover is in there talking with him, and especially once the love of his life, Dorothy's there too. And again, like kind of calls him out, as we mentioned before, about him being prideful. This isn't about your will, it's about the Lord's will. So, and it's just like boom, epiphany. Oh my God, like I've been prideful. This is terrible. And as we were saying, like I want to be the man that I am. I need to be the man that I need to be for you. So a good touch. Again, this is a great moment for the masculine and feminine side of things here. And but again, once this leads to the actual the trial, for him being court-martialed, I mean, I'll also giving credit to Dorothy here for what she does, and again, like being this balance and informing his parents about what's happening, and like that that look that Hugo Weaving, his Des's father, Tom, has on his face, right? It's like he knows what needs to be done, as a father. It's like, he might not have been a great father the entire time, because we only see so much of them growing up. And obviously we see some bad stuff before he volunteered to join the army. And it's this part right here, that stern looking to his wife about, I got to do what I got to do here. It is time to man up and protect my son. And obviously this is the redemption. I mean, dresses in the old uni, twice, was it, that the twice served Medal of Honor, right? The judge, or this guy in the middle here, says to him when he recognizes it, and he goes, wow, that's a,
he doesn't have a Medal of Honor. But he has his battle ribbons.
What is it?
And
that's right. Yeah.
I
forgot what it was.
Was it Bella Woods is one of them.
Bella
there's
Woods,
two of them that he sees, and both of those were fucking meat grinders, and were nasty. And so you see somebody that survived them, and you're like, yeah, you have seen some shit, sir. I recognize.
Wasn't that the battle where they got the name Teufelhunden? I think Devil Dogs. Bella.
Yeah,
Wood?
that's the Bella Wood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's, if they got the name out of that fight, then
Bella Wood was the lost platoon, right? Or lost brigade. They were stuck in the.
Wait,
woods.
maybe it was a different one. a different battle. Here's the thing. The Americans were at war with Germany in like 1917. We didn't actually get any ground troops over there until the spring of 1918. So we were only in the war for a couple of months compared to the rest of the powers that had been fighting for years. So all the action we saw was pretty intense, but it was like in a very short amount of time.
Well, we also, so we went over there. We didn't have our own weapons.
Right.
When we first got over there, we were using, whatever the French would give us and stuff like that. That's why we were using the Shoshaw and all that. But it started up. One of the conditions was initially what the Europeans were hoping for was that we would just come in and be replacements for whoever's in charge. And the Americans very specifically said, nope, they have to serve under American command.
Right. They wanted to plug them into like units that needed replacement. And they were like, no, we seen what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
Isn't that when the Germans accused Americans of committing war crimes because they brought 12 gauge shotguns?
Yeah.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
Well, they basically brought that up in response to the Europeans that already complained that the German engineers had knives, that had sawtooths on them. And so that's a violation of the rules of war and yada, yada. And so, yeah, the thing is that we didn't actually bring out shotguns in combat. They were almost all used to like guard prisoners or things like that.
But the reason that they were against it is because it caused, like, the pellets had so many small wounds. It was hard to treat that. Right. That's why it's against the Geneva Convention. You can't use any, and there's like no hollow points or
frangible ammunition,
ammunition or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that was something they were using at the start of the war. The dum-dum rounds and all that.
Well, the dum-dums predate even that.
Right. But they were using them in the war and they were like, oh, wait, hold up. This is causing wounds that are like really hard to treat. And it's causing a lot of unnecessary suffering.
Yeah, explosive ammunition.
Yeah, explosive ammunition. Yep, you can't have any of that because they had some of that going on.
Yeah.
So.
No, the funny thing
I always wondered why don't they use frangible, rounds in their rifles and stuff? But that's full metal jacket. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, is because you're also technically not supposed to shoot a person with a 50 caliber machine gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's supposed to be anti-material.
It's anti-material. Now, if it happens to clip somebody, oh well, but you just can't like turn it on a guy.
Well,
so you can't use a 50 cal for anti-personnel purposes.
No, I'll Rambo 5 or whatever it was.
Yeah, we're using the M2, just going, we'll just mow some people down. Except we did, because technically we aren't a party to most of the Geneva conventions. For the accords for the limitations on certain use of arms and things like that.
And it was
we kind of self-police and try and stay within those bounds, but we aren't technically committed to them legally.
Yeah, and Mr. Haas here, this is where he actually embarks on his or is about to fulfill, rather, I should say, his redemption. He's not going to let two guys get in the way of this because of who signed this letter, from top brass, essentially. And, it's sort of like the person that he would least expect, walks in this room and is his saving grace. It is a weird sense of poetry that it's his father of all people that is here to basically rule out and actually or have the court rule in his favor because of what's stated legally. And again, it's you have a decorated war hero here standing before everyone that's seen more shit himself than everyone in that room combined. And it's almost kind of insulting too when it's like, yeah, like you're done. Like it doesn't really mean much anymore. And it's like, my guy bought some meat grinders, and it's like he's coming in here with this letter, and it's like, no, but thanks for your service, but you can leave now. You can't be here in this courtroom.
You're not military personnel.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, but wasn't I though? Well, you were, but
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Again, when he walks up and he's like, that's a World War I uniform that you're wearing, and you're not what's going on. But then he sees the battle medals and he's like, oh, okay, well, so yeah.
I'll hear you out. Yeah. What's this?
You got some sway, but more importantly, this all could have all been subverted by the way, I have a letter from a general. None of y'all have enough, stink to stand up to that. So just get out of the way.
Right.
But we need to have drama.
Get out of my damn way. That's true.
That he does have those medals and he was in those battles, that really showed the respect that they have for those men that went through that. And so it'd be one thing. It'd be like, oh yeah, man, I was in for a little bit. I was in for a year and then, I had flat feet, so I got out, as opposed to, I did 32 years and went to all these places and stuff. You're going to get treated differently,
Yeah. But I mean, again, if it's I was in for a year, but I did all of the nastiest fucking battles that there were to have.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Versus I've been shining a chair with my ass for 20 years and look at my salad on my, but.
Yeah. I mean, I think for Tom Haas, I think, it obviously took some courage to do this. I believe that he knew what he needed to do was the right thing to do, but, he
put on a uniform that he pretty much sworn off of that he didn't want to be reminded by that. But again,
he still had it. So
yeah,
it still meant something to him.
Right.
He didn't burn it or give it away or let moths eat it or whatever. And
it's I'm hoping to lock that away, and I was hoping to lock away the memories with it, but clearly that didn't work out for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That definitely gave Patriot vibes. Mel Gibson with the have the tomahawk in the trunk and all the old war stuff locked away, but not disposed of, not destroyed, still remaining.
There if we need it. So yeah, for sure. And yeah, it turns out that he can indeed go on to proceed being a medic.
There was a bit of a Spock brow for me in this scene also, that the letter says that he has a constitutional right, except you don't in the military. Constitution doesn't apply to you. That's why you're not a civilian. The UCMJ is in charge of your ass, and you don't have a freedom of speech, and you don't have freedom to assemble and all of that stuff because you're in the military. That's one of the things that you kind of sign away when you step out of, and it's why you don't go to normal courts. You have courts martial and military justice is in charge.
But it depends on what is going on. Like if you had like a little fender bender, you'll go to the civilian court downtown to deal with that. But I know what you're saying.
Right. Because again, you haven't broken military.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yep.
But this is very much a military procedure. And again, you're in a courts martial. The Constitution just got up and left.
Right. You just,
that's why it drives me nuts when I hear like police officers and that talk about, these civilians. I'm like, hold the fuck up. You under the UCMJ? No? Well, then you a civilian too. Keep it into your fucking hat.
If you weren't in for a year, it doesn't count like the reserves are just paying being in the military some weekends. Yeah, you lose all your rights when you're in the military, like civilians take for granted.
That's right.
Oh.
You're under the UCMJ.
That is true. It's kind of like being in jail and under communism all at the same time. But it's a sacrifice that you make so that, everything else can be the way it is.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's certainly different signing up. You're voluntarily signing up for that if you're not drafted too.
I can't imagine being drafted into doing all that. Like you didn't want to go and you have to live under that. And the drafting people today, holy crap.
Well, I mean, you had the same problems in the 60s and early 70s was
drafting. Yeah, but see, the thing about drafting people is if you and there's no exceptions or exemptions, you will get some of the best people that would normally not join either, right? So
Yeah.
that's a
Right,
mixed
but
bag.
that's not what
if
we
you
did in the
just
60s and 70s,
exactly,
yeah.
if you make exemptions, right, all you're going to get is the bottom.
Yeah.
But those people serve and do good, but it's not like World War II where you got everybody. You know what I mean? You got like lawyers and doctors and all kinds of geniuses and stuff.
Yeah, it was a special dispensation to be kept out, and
was-
really, I mean, some of those that we set up, like again, if you were in the munitions industry or something like that, you were given an exemption for a reason. The Germans didn't. That's one of the reasons that their industry went to shit. Is that they were distracting everybody, to include like guys that were doing engine development for airplanes and all of that, and then they were wondering why all of their engines were shit for the last 3 years of the war.
Well, it didn't help they used slave labor to build half their stuff.
Well, yeah. Also, they didn't have access to the metals that you need.
Wouldn't it also help with having a better sense of national identity back then too in America? Compared to now, where
I don't
people are.
think so.
Okay.
So the problem you have with World War I and World War II is that we were founded on the idea that we really didn't want a standing army. It was one of the grievances that we had with England over that. And so what we would do is reduce down to ludicrously small amounts. And then, oh shit, there's a big industrial war. We need a bunch of men in a hurry. And so we would draft and bring them in. What we learned from that and kind of going forward is that having a permanent professional military is a much better idea than just getting a bunch of men and let's just throw numbers at them, because one professional soldier is worth like 5 just putzes that went through minimal basic and then was handed a rifle and go get them.
Yeah. Before we switch scenes, this is a good transition.
Private Doss, you are free to run into the hellfire of battle without a single weapon to protect yourself. You may resume your duties and begin training as a combat medic.
Boom. And well, that's
but again, that phrasing annoys me, because it's without a single weapon to defend yourself, but that's not the point.
It's not all that. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I guess if you say like, and think about it, if everyone else in his troop, everyone else that's there fighting on that same battlefield has a weapon to defend themselves, a 1-for-1 like ratio, if you want to.
Right. It's not like we're doing Red Rover where we, send Johnny right over and he didn't have a gun, so he,
Right. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see your point where it's like, well, but what about the same rifle or weapon to defend other people?
Yeah.
Should they have their firearm dislodged or, grenade? They can't find, blows them. Over here, they're still alive, and able to fight. But
by the way, the Japanese are coming for him. There's 3 Japanese that are walking up with bayonets, and what are you going to do? Oh, he hides.
Yeah, right. Well,
he watches a guy get his throat slit.
Yep. Well,
it still blows my mind that they approved it. Like, actually, even historically, the fact that they did it and let him go into combat like that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, again, he does his due diligence in saving people, of course, and obviously it's like it is a weird thing, because I think in terms of not using a gun, a rifle to protect yourself or your fellow brothers, there's like a weird sense of courage and bravery to do that. It's like, man, like you got to be nuts to not want to take your firearm with you on the battlefield, because everyone there, friend and foe alike, are doing the same thing, and if it's not a rifle, it's a machine gun, it's a mortar, right? It's an RPG. Like there's some sort of weaponry that is being utilized, and you're the only one that's not taking part in that, but you are carrying your wounded, brothers, and getting them to safety. And I know like when Smitty dies, I think that hits him the hardest because it's, the next day after he had a really good moment with him that we referenced earlier in the night. He has a nightmare of them both getting killed by the Japanese, like when that green flare goes off and they kind of just circle him. And it's just kind of funny how Smitty was just kind of just chilling, like not even bothered by it. It's like, you all right? Maybe that's when he actually asked, you need that canned meat. I forgot if that was before or after the dream, but yeah, it hits him hard, and but it's not, his job's not done. And obviously there's this whole idea of him kept saying like one more, like, and granted, the idea that he's able to do this is because he's under the cover from the artillery from the boys in the Navy, from those very large guns. Ironically as well, you've got massive guns providing him cover in order to save the lives of people.
Good thing they weren't conscientious objectors.
Right. Yeah. I refuse to fire these cannons, on the battlefield. Hell no, but you better move over. And look, obviously he, he's working his ass off. Like, again, he's not afraid to get dirty in this sense. As he's crawling through everything, he's saving Hollywood here, right? You see a majority of people in his troop, and even with Sergeant Howell, who was like, why'd you come back for me, right? Sort of thing. But it's hilarious how this is the only time we see him hold a rifle.
Yeah, he's like, oh, now you're gonna use a gun. He's like, nope, just gonna
too
use
late
it
for
as a
this.
stick. Yep.
Yeah, it's too late. Look, I understand you're trying. It's too late for your this sort of courage or bravery here, right? Like, like you're not going to be this type of leader in this late in the game here, or that type of leader this late in the game here, I should say.
Now you want to start? Nope. I'm gonna use it as a big stick because I'm gonna drag you. It's
And I just love the scene with him dragging him, and he has the grease gun on the back, and he's just Vince Vaughn's facial expressions.
I know.
It's a cool scene. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny, but yeah, I mean, he obviously saves his life. And again, like this, like the change of heart that Sergeant Howe has now seen and has when he's looking up on the ridge, and we got one of our guys is still up there. It's hot. It's Doss, right? Like we have to save him and protect him.
See Doss and one more guy. Well, it's his buddy's body, right?
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah. He uses the body for it was leverage. I want to say it was.
No, it's just him in the body because it was like, okay, I'm coming off the ridge and I'm going to make sure
that's
I bring.
Right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Which is also pretty interesting too, because he's as he's sending people down this entire time, right? I don't want to overlook that. He's sending as many soldiers as he can, because he's like, I can't hear you, Lord. Like, what do you want me to do? And it's like that subtle noise, and it's like, all right, well, I'm just going to save as many people as I can. Might be able to take a lot of lives, but I'll save as many lives. But he even treats the enemy. He sent a couple of Japanese
they
down.
2 Japanese. They didn't survive.
Yeah,
I'm sure they definitely were not shot as soon as they got to the bottom.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure they were like,
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's fine. We didn't.
Well, we were going to give you morphine, but instead, look at this 45. I bet it'll solve your problems too.
Yeah. Is that morphine? No. It's fine. It's fine. It's a knife. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
That's a pretty big needle. Just gotta say, is that a bayonet?
Well,
no.
Yeah. No. when you give them morphine, they don't feel the bayonet.
Yeah.
And the side.
Well, they're not going to feel anything after I pop this 45 into you.
That's true. But yeah, this moment too is really interesting because he's seen his troop. He knows most of these guys who they are, and but I think he's so startled that he just doesn't even want to be touched by anyone.
Oh, it's the adrenaline.
It's the
you know I have been under
going.
attack continuously for
Yeah.
probably 16, 18, 20 hours, and okay, I've got down. I'm starting to get the bleed, but the adrenaline's still up. You touch me, what the fuck, right? Because I've been going it alone the whole time, and then you are still in fight or flight mode.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's like I thought the combat scenes, the battlefield scenes, were very well done in this movie. I mean, there's some spots where you can obviously see a little bit more of the CGI.
Oh god, some of the fire was terrible.
Like this.
You see, some of those are pretty good. It's the CG fire that's really sus in a lot of those shots.
Yeah. When they do that last assault, and you can see it. But
yeah, there's one guy that I think it's at the beginning before they they're doing the flashback to him being on the stretcher and kind of all that. But they show one guy that flies and lands, and there's fire that's there that's CG and just disappears. And okay.
Also, Bobby, it's cold where you are in North Florida, right? I haven't even see what the temperature is here by me. I want to say it's only 45 here. So I'm sure it's probably at least 5 degrees cooler by you, Bobby, right? So stay bundled.
32 here with 25 with the wind chill factor.
Same here. Yeah.
It's probably a lot colder where Goodwin and Isaac are. So
it was 22 degrees last night. It was great.
Yeah. It was thank God, finally the flies will fucking die.
That's yes, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually glad too about these damn pesky flies. So
yeah, give me a good hard freeze. Not gonna bet you.
Yep. Die, fly, die. Yeah. I liked this moment too. Again, just a masculine moment for Smitty to do again with the bravery that he Ghoul failed because he thought that Ghoul was dead, but he just got knocked out. Right, a little bit of a head wound as he was saved by Doss here. But Smitty takes the package and he delivers it. And then Hal's like, let's charge these bastards.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't realize the entire hill is just, Swiss cheesed with tunnels.
Yeah.
That scene threw me off a little too, because I don't think that amount of explosive would do that to a pillbox shelter. Personally, I don't think.
No, it wouldn't have blown the concrete up. It
turned it into confetti.
Yeah, it would have killed everybody inside and blown out the windows or the slit, but that'd have been about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was more of
there would be a lot of fire in there, unless they had gas cans in it or something.
That was more like a 155 howitzer round landing or something. It's a 14-inch naval shell.
Well, that's reinforced concrete, unless it's just a really crap bunker.
Right. Yeah.
So,
maybe a naval barrage happened to hit it at the same time they threw the satchel in.
That's what it
call mortar in.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that 10 pounds of explosive in a sack? Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I was expecting more for it to blow out through the front or the back, but it was obviously dramatic purposes there for movies, but
that's just me being autistic about it. Whatever.
No, for sure. No, I hear you. Because I thought the same thing again. I was like, oh well, that was a bigger explosion than I thought it would be, but okay. Yeah, and just kind of getting towards the last scene here of I think of the masculine scenes I wanted to talk about. Again, Glover, we mentioned this earlier about go into your point about how the men would react potentially, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a revolt, but they look to him as some sort of miracle worker, right? Like, hey, maybe God really is on this guy's side, and actually we might actually stand a chance going back up again, excuse me, after, we were forced to retreat. Maybe this time we'll actually take the whole ridge, and push the Japanese back. But, it's something that, he's talking like, who the hell is Desmond Doss? Is like, Desmond Doss is our medic, sir, who don't believe in holding a rifle. But, that's neither here nor there, because he just done saving a lot of our men. But yeah, I mean, obviously for Doss, again, like you were saying, like the amount of adrenaline that was pumping through his body that's died down now, and this look about, even though he might believe and he's holding his Bible close to him, it's like, will I get lucky again? Because you don't know. This could be his time.
Well,
right?
And again, he's fighting on the Sabbath,
right?
And so he's
on
like,
that too.
I mean, is the Lord really going to be with me?
Yeah,
for me violating one of the rules.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like he's thinking about a little bit. At least I thought about him potentially having these thoughts through his head about, what Dorothy said to him, and that holding cell, right? Like, is this my will to be doing this on the Sabbath day, or is it the Lord? So, obviously you could kind of have to find out one way or another, or try to listen as best you can. But, you sure as hell hope you hear him. And obviously, yeah, I mean, for the most part, it kind of works out. There's obviously a grenade that he's able to kick away, right?
Well, he swats one.
I say he bats one out of the air. Yeah,
get that shit out of here. I'm rejecting anything that comes near the hoop. Let's go.
Right. Yeah. Which that's fucking ballsy, man. You're gonna sit here and bat a grenade out of the air, like with your hand. Like, people would think if you took your helmet and done it, but obviously, like, there's a part too where there's that sniper, which I love that scene too. How him and Howell work together as he's trying to get to him before he saves him. Where a bullet just ricochets right out the top, or just singes the top of his helmet. I was like, that's how close he was to dying. Getting head sniped. But kudos to him thinking about, hey, I'm gonna throw this helmet. That's why. And then Howell can figure out where he is, and then boom, headshot. He's donezo.
He was fine getting that guy killed as long as he wasn't pulling the trigger.
Right.
That's the moral dilemma. Yeah. So it's like, as long as I'm not pulling the trigger, I made it happen.
Yeah.
I didn't
may burn in hellfire, but at least I won't.
Yep.
It's like, I didn't steal the car. I just gave him all the carjacking tools and told him
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I wonder if it's like Gibson up top and like, well, you did help save Desmond Doss's life. So because you kept him safe, I will grant you access to heaven. So you did snipe that enemy, so all is well. But yeah, it's probably some of the stuff you're talking about here, like in these scenes. Good one.
Yeah, there's some real CG going on here. But this is again accurate, because I was kind of telling my wife, because she's not that familiar with the Battle of Okinawa and stuff like that. It was like, there's a reason that we nuked Japan, and Okinawa was most of it, because they were willing to fight to the last man, essentially. And we got to the point where it was like, a cave, roll some grenades or an explosive down there, and then douse it with a flamethrower. We don't care who's in there. Surrender's not really our problem anymore.
Well, yeah, imagine fighting an enemy that doesn't believe in surrender. That's like, what options do they leave you at that point?
Well, and doubly so, if they will fake a surrender and then go ahead and try.
I didn't remember that. That's very true. Yeah. So imagine that too. Yeah.
What's up, Lord Shadow?
But also, Okinawa's where, like the famous picture of the woman with the baby in her arms jumping off the cliff. That's Okinawa.
Oh my God, Gordon. When they refer to Desmond's military service, do you think they'll abbreviate to MS-DOS? I hope so. Shadow says, have you ever thought about doing enemy at the gate at some point? I think it'd be worthwhile to examine. Good to see you, man. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a lot of
it's been a while since I've watched it.
Not a lot of masculine virtues being shown in that one.
I have to watch it again just to, because I don't quite remember all that, but
I mean, he does get laid, so he's got that going for him.
That's true. Okinawa was brutal to watch.
It was Rachel Weisz, so you know, I mean, if you're gonna get laid, that's the way to do it.
Exactly. Watched the 9th episode of the Pacific. Yeah, that would that's a good example of it. You know, so, but yeah, it's a sort of like montage of them just destroying everyone, right? But
and then we get the surrender, not surrender, psych.
Yeah, the psych out while their generals in the act of doing, what is it, seppuku, right?
Seppuku, yeah.
Seppuku, yeah. And it's like, no, let's fake surrender, but also let's just try to like take out as much people as we possibly can here at the end. So
the one thing that this always amuses me, police officers that I know or other people like, yeah, you know, we're like the Spartans, and I was like, if you really want to see what the Spartans were like, look at the Japanese during World War II. That's a pretty close approximation. The idea of a you know, people that are just dedicated to war, that oh, by the way, would take their kids. That was like, sorry, you look a little deformed. We're just going to leave you out there and let the elements get you. You know, that you're going to be brought in at like 6 or 7 and start to be trained. Usually also a little bit of man love going on there. But
that's insane.
You know, yeah, but that, you know, nothing. You're just going to be trained for war. It was like, there's a reason that Sparta didn't actually make it. It was because it was a fucked up culture, and it existed entirely because of slavery.
Yep. Wish we could talk about it if we ever do 300, because it would just be fun points of
I mean, like, you know, it's
conversations.
funny how the 300 never mentions all the slaves that actually exist that, you know, run the country.
Important to the story.
Right,
We'll gloss right over that part.
Yeah, you know, obviously we can't really talk too much about it because, you know, don't know if that's a masculine thing to talk about, but you know, could be a historical fact to mention, right? A little bit more, perhaps.
A bit of the slavery.
Yeah, you know. It is a bit ironic though for Doss being the one that has to get taken out on a stretcher after his leg almost gets blown off, and obviously people that respect him, you know, judged a book by his cover and realized what kind of man he is and what he was able to do for them, despite not having the same belief, of course. And, you know, typical Mel Gibson to kind of just having like this sort of like almost angelic sort of shot of him kind of being lifted in the air. But I mean, I think for the sake of what he, again, helped inspire, or at least it allowed the other men to think about as a morale booster. You know, it's not so much that, yeah, we've got Captain Glover here with us, you know, but we've got Desmond Doss here, right? Like, you know, we stand a chance. You know, if he believes, we believe, you know, if we're wounded, he's here to help rescue as many of us that might fall in the process. But, you know, again, I think it's because of the faith that's here, the brotherhood, the shared realization of, hey, we might actually stand to do this. If one man can do all this, you know, despite him, you know, not really aligning with his train of thought, maybe we all do, and can find that sort of pull that courage and bravery from a different stance, much like he did. You know, which I mean, I thought about too. Like if a guy is doing this without a firearm, and I do have a firearm, then I should have that same sort of motivation and steadfastness to kind of take the charge. Obviously, knowing that I might not make it, but that's part of it, you know. Plenty of people
Yeah,
die
dude,
doing that.
to aspire to have that level of faith and courage with a gun that he
It's
had without it.
exactly. It's that aspiration. You just said it, man. Like that's what it's all about. And like that's why I feel like, you know, this movie does have that. And real men obviously had the aspirations of doing that. Knowing the cost, the sacrifice. We often talk about that, and it's a big masculine trait, that the sacrifice that these, you know, men were willing to give. I mean, obviously, even if you're volunteering too, right? Like, there's the chance that you're making that sacrifice deliberately. You know, even as a medic, because we see other medics that have lost their lives, you know, in brutal ways. Again, the one medic that kind of meets up with them as they join the ranks, and I forgot his name off the top of my head, but he's like yelling in the guy's face. It's like, ah, and then just, you know, the grenade blows him up too. Like, I mean, he went out like a G.
Well, he also had the one that that says, no, I don't need the plasma, give it to the other guy. And it's that medic that died of shock because he didn't get plasma.
Yeah. Which it's like, and that's one of the weird things where I'm like, I would have been like, no, I need to save you because you can help treat more people, you know? That's what I would have done. I'm like, shut up. We need you. You know, at least let me treat you first. Because then the shitty part is what happens? Oh, plasma gets broken. It's like, maybe it wouldn't have if I actually would have just stayed here and treat you.
Yeah, but he does save the other guy. So, you know,
yeah,
I think, you know, part of that is, again, medic doing medic things where it's like, nope, take care of the other guys.
Yep. Again, they of course, Mel Gibson wants to throw some of this kind of stuff at the end, which is always, you know,
I always like that when they show the
nice
real
to see.
person.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. The actual interview with Doss is great.
Right.
Yeah, you know, first conscientious objector to receive the Medal of Honor, America's highest award for courage under fire. And Desmond and Dorothy this is the thing we talked about earlier. Married until her death in 1991. The entire time she stuck by his side, and as you know, Waylon has pointed out, and other people, man fought multiple battles. You know, didn't just fight one spot, one location. So, I mean, you know, there was plenty of opportunities for him to not make it, but yet he did. You know, and obviously, till death do us part. And sure enough, it was her time in 91. You know, but again, he doesn't really look a lot like Garfield. He's
got the long neck.
More so some of the facial features
He
look
definitely
different.
he looks like he's got like 10 times more teeth than Garfield.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a dude from the Blue Ridge Mountains in the 1940s. You know,
Who went to the movies once and said, "I like that Rhett Butler mustache. Let's go with
exactly.
that."
I bet he stuck with that for like years too. Just committed to it, you know.
Yeah. And this is him back in 2003 talking. Yeah, some of these interviews with him are pretty good.
Well, the one that that kind of hit me was the captain, who again is talking. You could kind of tell that his voice is wavering a little bit, but he's getting through it. But that tear running down his
yeah,
he was like, "Oh shit, don't be doing that to me. Don't make him have a hitch in his voice. Don't do that to me. Don't do it."
I had that same thought. Because it was right. Yeah. Right after this, he hears father.
Well, that's his brother.
His brother. Sorry, his brother. Yeah. Talking, and then it's Jack Glover.
Yeah.
He talks here, and you can see it in the corner of his eye, like welled up, and you kind of hear his voice. And
but you'll see it his right eye. The tear just streams down, and
I think, I don't know if I captured. I thought I did, but yeah, you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn it, Jack, what are you doing to me?
Stop that! Don't do that to me.
Someone
don't you have a hitch in your voice, son?
Yeah. I told you not have Dusty fans in the interview.
Yeah,
Come on.
My wife and I were talking about that. Because we were talking about, like, men crying and stuff like that, and I said there is nothing that will break up men in like an audience as a man who is trying to hold it together, and you could tell that he's doing it, and he has that little hitch in the voice where he's just, he's about to cry, but he stops. And you'd be like, okay, everybody else just starts crying because they're like, yeah, I feel you, man. That's, trying to hold it together. And here we go.
Yep. Yeah, it's like over at that point. I mean, you kind of see it too in the same types of interviews in Band of Brothers, right? So, and passed away age of 87, March 2006. I mean, he lived 15 years, after his wife had passed away too,
Yeah,
And,
her dying in 91 is relatively young.
Yeah.
Yeah, for, because that
woman.
probably put her in like her 60s, I think.
Yeah, maybe early 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. We figure, I mean, I don't know what year she
Men,
was
we
born
die.
offhand, but
We just start dropping like flies, but women, they don't. They tend
Not
to outlast
normally,
it.
right?
Yeah. Just kind of just some themes and whatnot. Obviously, we talked about with sacrifice, brotherhood, leadership. There's legacy that's built through the service of being in the armed forces, and obviously as the Doss family in that lineage, of course. And to Doss's point, it is about conviction for him, not the violence that he wanted to take part in, but obviously happened all around him. And obviously that is something that also speaks to masculinity too. And but I think for Desmond here specifically, like it's his faith that kind of gave his masculinity purpose and helped find that balance. But also again, like at the end, it kind of helped, as Captain Glover said, like, I believe in that book just as much as you do, and it's just as much as any man out here probably. But it doesn't mean I'm gonna waver from my belief in what my duty is here to the country, to this troop, to my men as a leader. But even then, he recognizes and respects it, but it has to make those big asks of Doss at the end there. But I mean, I think this movie does a pretty good job of portraying those things. Obviously, being sacrifice being the highest of them all, right? I mean, as we see dead soldiers here, and I've seen them quite a bit over time, right? So, but quick question for everyone: out of these 5 scenes, which one do you think showed? I wasn't sure if I wanted to use the word truest or not. I kind of just went with that, but but if we went with truest or best, which one do we think is the best, or does evoke the masculine virtue the most?
I think it's a tie between 4 and 5, personally. One more, definitely the selfless virtue of willing to put himself in harm's way, in the face of adversity. But certainly prayer, I think prayer ekes it out just a little bit. I would go for 5 on that for sure. Taking the time to do what's most important before the assault, I mean, what would you place between the two?
Yeah. I mean, it is a bit of a toss up for me between 4 and 5. I mean, again, I think the other ones are important, which is why I picked them to begin with. But I think it is 5 because of that last hurrah, that last charge that they make that allows them to be victorious. And again, what would have happened if he didn't do that? Would they still have succeeded? Obviously we'll never know, but right. And the idea that if they didn't, then it just goes to show you how much that actually mattered, to him, to everyone that was involved, right? All the men. So, I would say, probably 5 as well.
I would argue it's 4. And the reason I would argue that that does also involve a prayer, but more importantly, that it's the understanding that in order to achieve greatness, you don't get it all in one go. That it just one more, right? That I'm going to make the job. How do you eat the elephant one bite at a time? And I'm just, my hands are bleeding and I'm having problems and I'm exhausted from doing this or whatever. Just one more.
Yeah.
And it's always just one more. If I could just do one more, and then after you do that, I could just do one more, right? The making an impossible job manageable, by understanding that again, the one step at a time is how I get to the end of the journey. And that kind of, compartmentalization where I can't worry about the big stuff. I can't worry about the destination. It's the journey that I'm on, and the only way I do it is one more, just one more. That's probably the most masculine. That's all I'm worried about, just saving one. And
I
just saving one.
agree with that too. What's up, Kalika? Shieldball, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think 4. While all of them have their place and extol masculine virtues, I think 4 because you're by yourself, right?
True.
It's just you. It sucks. You're tired. You're wounded. You're scraped up. Trust me, crawling across all that coral, your hands are cut. You're also the only one that can save those people. There's nobody else up there with you.
Yeah.
And so you want to talk about spirituality, you're by yourself. Now he does the prayer before battle, but that basically rallies the troops and he's got people with him. But how easy would it have been for him to give up? No one else is looking. He could have just laid there and been like, and anybody came up, be like, oh, what happened? He'd be like, I was wounded and stuff. But instead, without anybody looking at him, he's not going to get any reward like acclaim or anything like that. He's doing it for his fellow troop. He doesn't want to give up. He's not going to quit. He keeps pushing to do it, and he goes back. And it's a dangerous thing. Doing, and he's by himself, and there's nobody to help him. To me, that's like a core masculine trait.
And I think, and again with the faith, because what he says is, Lord, let me save one more. Lord,
yes,
let me save one more.
Yes,
right?
He's drawing on that strength to do that, and I think that is his crucible that then allows him to not only gain respect of everybody else, so that when he does the prayer before the assault, that everyone believes in it. It also strengthened his own faith because he was able to go through that whole thing, with the help of God and his belief in that. Because once he was done with that, rightly, he could have probably just, been like, hey, I'm done. But
I'm gonna still take my day off. So,
right.
I did my part, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So there are a lot of intertwining between those, like one kind of leads to the other and supports the other one or whatever. But to me, that core moment, if you boil it down to, because this is also the action that gets him his Medal of Honor. If I'm not mistaken, is him saving all those people, right? So that is the core crux of the movie, of his actions, of his conviction, of his the sacrifice, all of that. So I think that number 4 is the one that's the truest masculine virtue, although all of them are, you know what I mean? In the face of peer pressure, refusing the rifle, sticking with his convictions, persevering, being beat up and whatever,
right? Blanketed,
right, defending himself in court, standing up and explaining why he's doing it, and letting himself be judged by others. And then, of course, the prayer before battle, before the assault, that he inspires the rest of the troops with.
Yeah, I think Shield makes a really good point about the Lord. Let me say one more is that it's easy to have faith when you're with the rest of the congregation. It's another thing when it's just you alone, and there's imminent death outside, and you're praying for the strength to just do one more. Right.
And that's
let me get up. Let me do that. I'm alone, and I could easily just lay here and nobody would begrudge you. I mean, save a couple of men and you're already way ahead of the game. Right. But the fact that he ends up saving 75
it's crazy.
Because one more, just one at a time. Right. That's the thing is who are you? It's who you are when no one is looking.
Yeah.
Well, it's a strong faith, which is repeatable too. It's not like, oh, I just did it once,
Right. Yeah.
His faith is consistent every single time, you know.
And the only one that's looking at him is his Lord. And he's just asking for the strength. Let me get one more.
And every time he went back, that was another possibility for a sniper to get him or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it was I think a bit of a blessing and a miracle, the fact that he had the cover fire of all the smoke from the artillery rounds, right?
Until he didn't.
Right, until he didn't. But it's like, hey, you did as much as you could. You did as much as I allowed you to do, which was enough.
Well, except that he keeps doing it because he goes into the tunnel system, comes back out at night, and starts doing it again.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't know that. I wonder if that part was true to life.
Yeah,
he did it mostly through the night. That's where he saved the most people.
I read, or maybe it was somebody mentioned it or something in one of the interviews, is that they actually toned down what he did because they thought it would be unbelievable
to
the audience.
Lord, man, we've been almost at this for 3 hours, man. Look, glad you came there, but I mean, 4 is definitely a powerful moment, but I agree to your point, Jabal. They all matter, and they all kind of show that.
I think it's the again, which one which one exposes who you are. 4 is the one that does it for me. Because
yes, if you distill everything down to one thing, for me it's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the John Bessalone stuff in the Pacific. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I've actually read his exploits and hold up. And the other thing is that they showed him dying too early. When he actually did die, he ended up accomplishing quite a bit before he got killed.
John Vassalone. Yeah. I'm trying to think of who he went on a war bonds tour. And,
right. And then came back and it was
right. But I'm trying to think who there was an actress that liked him. But he was like, nah, deuces, I got to go back to.
And ended up hooking up with a woman that was working in the Marine.
Yeah.
Base.
Yep. But there was a famous actress that was really romantically interested.
Yeah, because she was part of the war bond drive.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll play one more clip here.
Doss. Hal slept there.
What, Helen? Doss did this?
No, sir, just Doss.
Just Doss?
Just Doss. Yeah. Doss the coward.
Doss the coward. Ain't no coward, after all.
Look, I'm with Zach's. I can't believe that they downplayed the role of the black lesbian in saving all of them. That was
but they had to make some concessions because I just don't think people would buy a wheelchair working.
That's true. Yeah. With rockets, the wheelchair with rockets was really
I'm praying for Bobby right now. Man is suffering in the cold.
Man, I ain't. Stop that. He's about 38, and he's like, 23, just like 38. No, it's not. One of them is freezing. The other one ain't.
One of them, yes, exactly.
It depends on the wind chill and if there's water involved. Like if it's raining and stuff, yeah.
Well, if he pissed himself, that's on him.
If you throw if you do an ice bucket challenge and then go outside,
Right. If you're throwing like alcohol on yourself.
And then run out there and see which evaporates.
That's probably Blue. That's what Blue's doing right now.
Blue is throwing it in himself, not on himself.
That's right, in himself.
Yeah.
That's what's keeping him
will be
warm.
later.
This is another masculine trait. When someone complains about it being 36 degrees outside,
Yeah,
you're like, it's not even freezing.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Man, the fuck up.
Is that 23? Is that in Celsius, Zach's? So it's like 100 degrees out or whatever.
You'll share some MegaCon, military stores, MegaCon when people are off streaming. You can for sharing classified ops. Hell yeah, man. That's when
a good plan. Also, never announce your crimes publicly. Stop that.
That's true.
We'll put that shit in writing.
The Fifth Amendment exists for a reason.
Yeah. Well,
I played the fear.
He had the right to remain silent. He didn't have the ability.
Right.
See what I got here? It's yellow cake.
Exercise your rights.
Yellow cake.
It's got aluminum tubes. You know what they can do with aluminum
tubes? Don't drop that shit. Don't drop that shit.
Yeah. That's when TV used to be funny.
Oh, gosh. Japan sending PlayStations.
Yeah. Oil? Are you cooking?
Bitch. Bitch, you cooking? I'll smell oil. Run for your life.
Yeah. He goes, get out of here.
Oh God, what a great sketch.
Yeah.
But that brings us to a close here for episode 28, talking about Hacksaw Ridge here on Masculine Mondays. I want to thank my panel for being here and talking about a fun movie. Really had a great time. And go around the room here just to see what y'all got going on this week. Isaac, we'll start with you. Well, people can find you. I'm sure our mods have been dropping your links in here, but tell us where we can find you and what you got going on this week.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me on. It was a fun movie to talk about. And most importantly, thank you to our veterans this Veterans Day for everything. So that's most important. But on top of that, my channel, Golden Age Podcast, every Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We talk politics and culture war stuff, and you can find me on X under the same name as well. So 2 places I'm going to be, not too much, but we're having fun and growing more every week. So thank you again, Nick, and to all the guys for having me on tonight. It was a good time.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I like the new format too. Good job with it's looking really good. So
appreciate that.
That was I like it.
I was gonna ask at the end. I was like, all right, so what everyone think, but
to be more concise and focused.
Yeah, and not that we haven't had good conversations so far, but since we started earlier this year, but definitely wanted to just really not only fine tune some things, and I think I've had enough collective information from people on the channel or on the panel rather, I should say, and obviously in chat, just comments and so forth. So and just trying to figure out what works best. So last week was definitely a nice little dress rehearsal. I feel like this, I was able to spend a little bit more time on it this past week and weekend, and kind of just hone in on some different things and still kind of working some things out. But
like getting the intro when it's actually live and
right, and I'm not talking to myself, in a room by myself, and no one else can kind of see me, but people can hear me in the back room. So. But what are we covering next week? We are covering the Ghost in the Darkness.
Yes, I will actually be here for that as well.
With Mr. Val Kilmer, R.I.P. Yeah. So, Shubal, why don't you tell the fine folks what you're up to and where they can find you?
Well, thanks for having me on. This is great. It was great being on here with Goodwin and Isaac. Great takes, everybody. And thanks to the chat. Really active chat tonight. lots
Appreciate the
of
chat.
good info and things like that. I mean, it would have been cool to have Leon and Vex here too. Just Leon especially, he probably would have had some bad takes or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Serious hells we could have.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, thanks for having me on. So what do I got coming up? Tomorrow I'm going to be on Jacob Ironside's channel, and we will be going over Terminator 2. So,
the children's version of Terminator.
Not a child's movie.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And then on Wednesday, I will be on Sergeant Giratina's channel, and we will be talking about The Sword and the Stone, 1963 animation. And then Thursday, I will be on Rome of the Empire's channel. I got a full week this week, and we will be going over. Let's see, he wants to talk our
like a favorite leading men or something.
Great leading men from movies with our great leading men in it who we think inspire and things like that. So it's kind of like a masculine talk, I guess. It depends on who the leading man is that gets picked. So we'll see. Sometimes it gets pretty wild.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what gets mentioned on that stream.
So that's everything I got going on this week. And
all good, dude.
But I appreciate you having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you back on here. Now I know it's been a bit, but I do appreciate your time. Like you said, I know you're not always available on Mondays. So when you are, I appreciate it.
Yep.
I was gonna say, Lord Chat, all good, dude. No worries. But the point is that you eventually did make it, and that's what counts. Better late than never, my friend. Monsieur Goodwin. What about you? What do you have cooking this week?
I don't have any idea what the hell I'm doing. The only thing that I'm certain of is that we'll be doing Niat's movie nights with Niat's, where we're covering The Shining on Friday. Otherwise, I don't know. Flip a coin. We'll see where I'm there or not or whatever. I noticed that Jacob did not invite me to the children's version of Terminator, probably because he knew that I would be dunking on that thing.
He knew like
the children's version.
Shit on
I think it filled up pretty quick because that's
I'm sure
a popular movie.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
According to the Sydney server, there's a watch for End of Days. Oh, really? I wonder if she's actually seen End of Days.
I have, and I don't wish to see it again.
Yeah. That's one of the Arnold movies that does not get rewatched in my arsenal of.
No,
there's a big chunk of the '90s that include Arnold movies that I don't rewatch on the.
Yeah, he had a couple in there that were okay, but most of them.
I think you'd enjoy it, Zax.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't watched it prior to this. I was aware of it, but I was also aware of the story and was like, I don't know if I want to see this. And it was actually pretty good.
Yeah. That's true, Waylon.
I can tell you T2 was better than T3 and all the other stuff they had, and that latest one, Dark Fate or whatever. Oh my God.
I would say that T3 has better ideas than T2. It's just it has inflatable boobs, so we're already winning.
And I'll just say too, Salvation is a fun turn your brain off movie. Just saying.
Salvation is half of a good movie. Shame about the Aussie and the whole I'm a Terminator that has an identity crisis.
That really, they could have went places with that, but
yeah. As far as myself, we'll be here tomorrow night talking about Dark Wolf episode 6 as we're coming to a near close with that season. Not quite sure what I'm doing next for some Trendy TV Tuesday streams, but I guess I have a little bit of time and we'll kind of talk to see who is interested in doing what for Fallout Season 2 comes around the corner.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, that might have some fun conversations about.
Oh man,
bring Bex on. Let's go. She was simping for season 1. Let's dance.
Yeah.
Who was simping for season
Bex.
1?
Yeah.
Right. It was going in the right direction, and then they boned it all up.
And let's see, Wednesday. I'm gonna try and join NBABF's early evening stream. I haven't been able to because of work, unfortunately. My my client around the world requires my attention, but that should be coming to a close soon, and I'll have my Wednesday nights back in full per normal. And then I wasn't able to take part in Zax's tournament clash last Wednesday because I worked a 15-hour day, and I was mentally fucking exhausted. I had zero bandwidth, and I went to bed at 11:30 p.m., which is the earliest I think I've ever fallen asleep, and I can't tell you remember when. I don't know when the last time I went to bed 11:30 p.m., which sounds crazy to some people, but between work and this adventure on YouTube, kind of all over the place. But I am a bit of a night owl too, so I was just like done. And so yeah, sometimes that happens. But and then when people who are younger than me like, I can't stay up late, I'm so tired. I'm like, you sound like a bitch. If you're gonna let me outlast you. So I make fun of people who are younger than me all the time, including some friends that are like, I'm so tired, bro. Oh, it's a long day. I'm like, bro, you don't know what a long day is, all right? Fuck off.
Yeah, if you can pull 72 hours in your 40s, then you're some fucking sauce.
Also, there's a difference between, a 15-hour day and a 15-hour day, if you know what I mean. Like, depending on what you're doing. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
When I'm staring at cyber analytics the entire time, and my brain's just fucking computing and talking to people about it, and explaining, and then doing heads down work consistently because deadlines. There's the rush and sense of urgency as well that pushes you to continue going, and then eating in the same spot, and it's like, no, I can't do it. Nope, can't do that. Nope, I'll just eat, type.
Oh, that's exactly what I can pull 72 hours. It's the piddle around, do a thing. Oh, but we're going to do a thing in a couple hours. What the fuck are we doing?
That's the worst. Yeah, that's the military right there. Where you're like, I got to sit around and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, we need to hurry up.
Hours later, yep. And they're like, no sleeping. You're like, what the fuck?
The funny thing is too, like, it'll be like, okay, I'm going to bed late. Cool, I'll get 4 hours of sleep, and then go to the gym in the morning, and then go to work, and then do all the same shit over again. And it's like, people complain, I didn't get my 8 hours. I'm like, I'm about to slap you 8 times across the face.
Like, who gets 8 hours is like vacation sleep. What the hell?
Exactly. I'm like,
yeah. That's
you get 8 hours of sleep
with a tranquilizer gun, and I'm out.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you get drunk and pass out or something, or what? Did you take an edible? Like, how'd you get 8 hours of sleep? Like, I mean, maybe on the weekends.
Is if you go into work and they're like, so you're on swing shift, right? You're like 4 to midnight or whatever, and they're like, hey, I need you to go home and come back in on mids. So you're going to work 11, but you've already worked like two days of this one shift, right? So then they want you to come back and be on mid shift. So you're going to work 11 to 7, and then you pull that shift, and then they tell you, hey, go home, go to sleep, and come in tomorrow at 7 because you're on day shift now. And so it doesn't seem that bad, but when you've screwed your schedule up like that.
Yeah, it's like, motherfucker, I don't have an off, switch that I can just go, okay, now sleep.
Completely screwed.
Right.
And then you got people acting like, how come you can't make this appointment? And you're like, well, because the way my schedule's working out, it'd be like me asking you to come to an appointment at 3 a.m. You wouldn't be happy with that, would you? So anyway, I know what it's like to work all kinds of screwed up hours and long hours and stuff.
Isn't it funny when you have to explain to people the entire world is not 9 to 5? It's an amazing thing to have to explain to people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
I don't know. I think a lot more people know about that these days than before, just with like the gig economy and how everything's all screwed up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I just read that. Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm gonna get something to eat, but cause I'm hungry. Let's talk about masculinity. Has got me an appetite.
I do a 14-hour fast every day. I don't stop eating at 6, and I don't start eating until 8. Yeah.
I mean, I used to, for most of my life, I would eat once a day.
I'll do that. I mean, I honestly
feel so much better doing it. So much better doing it.
In the mornings is kind of what I do.
Yeah, I don't eat on schedule. It's am I hungry? Yes, no.
Yes, that's actually the best way to do it. I think
Yeah.
is don't eat unless you're like actually hungry.
Yeah, people who force themselves to eat, I don't get that.
Later,
You know,
Bobby.
if-
I
Well,
know.
again, it's
You're not
schedule.
hungry,
You gotta
yeah.
do the
Stay
schedule,
warm, Bobby.
but
Yeah,
also the must clean plate. No, I don't. I don't have to do
You?
a damn thing.
Take care of you.
Yeah, I stopped doing that when I was 6.
For once a day. Yeah. I don't like to overeat either. Make a homemade burger. Now I'm hungry. Only had cottage cheese for dinner here.
Well, I just started doing it like back in. It's been like 8 months now. So, but I haven't slipped up once. Not once.
Nice. It's good stuff, man.
Yep.
Well, next week we are going to be covering Ghost in the Darkness, so stay tuned for that. That'll be a fun show. And I just wanted to again say I appreciate my panel for being here always. You guys have made this a fun night as per usual. But glad to hear you enjoy the new format, of course, as well.
Definitely.
And everyone who watched, everyone that chimed in on the chat, you guys were great tonight, as always. Again, I do this for you guys as well, and obviously the involvement of you guys being here week in, week out. I really do appreciate it. And obviously we're here to spread the good word of masculinity and men that need to be men again, and to weed out the snowflakes and soy boys, and if only more people were aware of that and kind of share more of that knowledge, especially when we're getting
Shame
movies
anybody that you know who says that they like Predator Badlands.
Yes, I was like, especially when we're getting movies like Predator Badlands, I was like, it's good. No, sorry, you're wrong on all accounts. But more on that later. So we're gonna, you know what you should do is you should yell at them like Sergeant Howell does, and do something like this.
Let me see your Indian war cry, son! I don't...